Alright. Karibuni tena ndani ya One Mic Show. Ni furaha kujiunga nanyi wapenzi wasikilizaji, tukiwa tumekuandalia taarifa za kusisimua, muziki wa kata viungo na kindumbwe cha siasa au politics ukipenda. Now tonight's show is proudly brought to you courtesy of money transfer app Lemfi. The One Mic Show is offering $30 for the first $100 sent on your first transaction using the code OneMic, as you can see on the screen. Now click on the link pinned in the comments on both YouTube and on Facebook, and feel free to share. The first $100 that you'll send on the first transaction will net you $30. That is more money. That's a higher return than a foroti maguta. Now we're streaming live on Facebook from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. We'll shortly be going live on YouTube, so call all your YouTube friends. Now please remember to subscribe to both our YouTube and Facebook pages at The One Mic Show. And then follow us on Instagram at One Mic Show. We are also taking live calls tonight at 202-683-4570. Press star 5. That number again is 202-683-4570. Press star 5, so save that number. Now later tonight, we'll be asking if Kenya will have an election in 2027. Yes, we're going to be asking that question. Now through the impeachment drama, a proposal was tabled to Parliament to extend Kenya's term limits for the president and other elected leaders from 5 to 7 years. I'm going to say that again. There was a proposal that was tabled in Parliament to extend Kenya's term limits for the president and other elected leaders from 5 to 7 years. Is there a silent plan that most Kenyans are unaware about? Now feel free to start dropping comments below and let us know what you think and where you're tuned in from. Na bila kusahau, tapokea mziki toka DJ wetu machachari mleta habari DJ Omosh Fire na kudunda kule viwanjani na Mika Och jezi nambari 7 mgongoni akituletea habari za michezo. Na moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro Studios ni mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Kwetu wananiita mteule na wengine mniite mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Karibuni.
Now, let's talk politics.
Now this hour we'll be talking about the impending Senate trial of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. We'll also discuss other critical issues that have been obscured by the ongoing impeachment drama. And we'll ask if a dissolution of parliament is the best way forward for Kenya considering the crisis at hand. Now please drop a comment below and tell us where you are tuned in from. I'm your host and producer Ali Badawi, and it's Friday the 11th of October, and we are streaming live from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. Now please remember to follow The One Mic Show on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. On panel with me tonight is Mr. One Mic Kamakawa. Sports anchor Mika Och is joining us via Zoom, and our resident DJ Omosh Fire is already on the decks. And also not forgetting that our super producer is none other than Mubelwa Wabandio. Now I can see a lot of fans already tuned in. I can see Tabitha Njeri is already in the building. She says she can't wait. Great topics. I can see Gerald Oliech is in the building. I can see Washeke Ndirangu. I can see Slays in the building. Texas representing in the building. Texas is always in the building. So asanteni sana. So give us some comments and tell us what you think might happen next week, because it's gonna be another week of drama. It's kind of like Kenya is never short of any drama.
Kuna Puki Manjaro.
Kabisa. Now, we know it's been another week of political pandemonium in Kenya as Parliament overwhelmingly approved a motion to impeach Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Now, with over 80% of parliamentarians approving the motion, the question on whether Parliament has been captured by the executive comes back to focus. You will recall that a little over 3 months ago, after the Gen Z uprising, opposition leader Raila Odinga joined forces with President William Ruto in a new broad-based coalition. Now, this new partnership has offered government a supermajority in both houses as Kenyans wait to know the fate of the deputy president in next week's Senate trial. Now, DP Gachagua is mounting a strong fight in court with a legal team led by veteran lawyer Paul Mwite. And tonight, we'll be diving deep on the issue of the removal of DP Gachagua from office. What political ramifications might this lead to going forward? We want to hear your thoughts in the comment section and on our phone lines. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. And then I also want to take this opportunity to introduce the panel, starting with Mika Och, who's live on Zoom. Now, to get us started, Mika, maybe as you get warmed up, to tell us about your week. I will start you on a high note on telling us, do you think Deputy President Gachagua can be saved from the butcher's knife by the courts? Mika Och, twende kazi.
Thank you, Ali. And I want to say hi to everybody. I want to say to hi, you, the panelists. Thank you for being here kila weekend. I want to say thank you to our wapendwa wachangiaji for joining us. And to answer you, I will say no. And the reason I'll say no, Ali, is I'll take it back to 2022. I'll take it back to 2022 during the elections. And how we saw the election petition was handled and how that case was thrown out. And there was a precedent that was set. That was a judiciary that was hell-bent on revenge for Uhuru Kenyatta denying them the money that they wanted. And this guy promised them money. He gave them their money. But another thing, and he reinstated judges that Uhuru had refused to reinstate. And with that, he put himself in favor with the judiciary. Now, we've seen that everything that has gone to court against this government has never failed. They will fail on the lower courts, get to the Court of Appeal, and they will get the result reversed for them. We've also seen that the valiant abuse of the court process by government officials, which have gone scot-free. We had a deputy of the police, the second in command of the police, defying court orders, was sentenced to jail, went to court, was defended by the Chief Justice, and got a slap on the wrist and was let go. So by the virtue of how this impeachment started out, this impeachment is one of the most funniest impeachments I've ever seen, because it started on social media. People like Sudi tweeting and saying, in 14 days, you're going to see, we're impeaching you. And it was one that was very loud, and nobody was hiding what was coming. Gachagua knew what was coming. It was put on social media. It went to parliament. It was passed in parliament. And for the first time, we saw a full parliament. Only Babu was not there. And the other Sikh, Babu was not there, and the other Sikh politician, the one who they ban in supermarkets all the time, was not there. We saw a full parliament. For the first time, that house was full. And guess what? Majority of that house voted to impeach this guy, which shows that this is something that was designed and orchestrated, that he must go. He's not going to fare any better in Senate. He's going to have his day in court in Senate. I don't see him beating Senate, especially that Senate whereby we usually have some very serious discussion, but then government policy sails through. So I don't see how this one is failing. We're going to have some very serious discussions, some very serious oppositions. We'll be happy by some politicians thinking that those senators are fighting, but when it comes to voting, they will vote the impeachment, and guess what? He'll get his day in front of the Chief Justice. And I believe this will be the shortest appeal we'll ever see in the history of Kenya.
Okay. Some very solid deliberations, very direct from none other than Mika Och. We're gonna come to Uno Mike, but before we go to Uno Mike, let's start with DJ Omosh Fire. Before we get to DJ Omosh Fire, there's a couple of comments that are already coming in, in light to what Mika is saying. Mika, of course, is insisting that DP Gachagua has no shot. He has no chance whatsoever. Gerald Oliech is saying the lynching of the deputy president is very hypocritical and unfair. All, if not most, of the parliamentarians should be given the same scrutiny, and few will pass. I can see also so many people have already joined in on Facebook. I can see Pukimanjaro anasema Amsterdam Tupo. Thank you so much for tuning in. Pukimanjaro, tell us what you think will happen this coming week. Mika is already saying that DP Gachagua has no shot. Yuko ndani ya kichinjio. There is no way out. He's going to get butchered when he goes for the Senate trial next week. And then I have Wairimu N. Wairimu N anasema sasa mimi nangoja huo mziki wa kukata kiuno. Niko karibu na bahari la Pacific. So that's a message to DJ Omosh Fire. And and as we come to your message, DJ Omosh Fire, you'll answer Wairimu. Before we get on to the legal strategy, which I want Uno Mike to talk about a bit, because lawyer Paul Mwite is mounting a very strong legal defense. What do you think are going to be the political ramifications? You know, like how will the impeachment trial affect the landscape? Let's say it happens next week and DP Gachagua gets removed from office. What are the power dynamics after that? What do you think will shift? DJ Moshfire.
So, you know, based upon history, or at least the way things have been working, we've always had at least Mtu wa Mlima Kenya in power.
Okay.
For either the first or the second. There's always Mtu wa Mlima Kenya.
There was a mini break during the end of Moi's regime when he gave the vice presidency to Musalia Mudavadi.
Okay.
There was a mini break.
Okay, if we want to count that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say...
But basically, the president and vice president, for the most part of the 60-something years...
We've always had somebody...
There's always been someone
from Lima. There's
Lima.
always been somebody from Lima.
Yeah.
And in this case, there's a possibility that we may not have somebody from Lima.
Okay, and what makes you say that?
And just based upon how the dynamics of things have been happening, you know, where there was that active campaign by the current deputy president to start bringing Mlima Kenya back. He kept singing this Mlima song, almost like he had been told, boss, I'm about to axe you. I'm removing you from being, you know, sitting in here. In fact, you're no longer sleeping in the bed. We are done. And I'm not giving you papers. This thing is getting annulled. Which is basically what's happening. So he started doing his PR stance, or to working his PR thing. But that didn't sell. It didn't work. In the court of public opinion, it may look like that it was working, but the people who were making the decisions, aka the politicians, it's definitely not working.
Now, there was a clip that was going around of former Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho, who's now the Minister for Mining.
Correct.
In an old campaign clip where he talked about this exactly, that President Ruto was planning to get into power with Gachagua and then impeach him. This was something that was verbalized in a political rally. Do you think it's just a lucky coincidence, or is there something that people in the political class know that most of us don't?
You know, these guys, the interesting part about it is when they fight, we on the outside look on and we look at things and we say, okay, there's no way. These guys don't like each other, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's politics.
Okay, so it's like a sport.
Correct.
Yeah, it's like boxing. We go box,
yes,
and then after that,
we can even go sit down and drink tea together.
Okay.
You know, as long as you guys, our shabiks, don't see us, then we are good. And because, you know, that's gonna mess up for our, you know, round 2.
Okay.
You know, or should I say Unyuro 2? That's it's gonna mess it up for us. So these guys, a guy like Joho has been a student of the one and only Baba, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And at some point, Ruto was also a student of Baba,
yeah,
and walking along with Baba, even though he was in the school of MO1, right? So when you sit down and you look at all of these things, and based upon the politics of Kenya and how things happen, Joho saw it coming. He's like, this is just a means, you know, it's a means to an end. He knows where he wants to go. Once he gets to his cannon, then he's going to drop this guy. And that's exactly what he did.
Wow.
And right now he's silent. You know, the worst part of all of this is we are sitting here, we're speculating, and we're talking about the impeachment, blah, blah, blah. This guy has not talked.
Silent. Nil by mouth.
Worse than a cricket.
Yeah.
And it is so sad to think, you know, the worst part about it now for me is the next person coming in. Do you even have a shot? You don't have a shot at anything, and if you do something that is going to be counterproductive, then you know exactly which way you're going to go.
So this is a loud message to
Correct.
anyone who's going to come and sit on that seat
And
next.
not only for this presidency, but for other presidencies coming up. Because guess what? I have this card that I can use, and I'm using it.
So he's
Yet-
giving a playbook.
Correct. And yet it was never used on him.
Interesting.
It was not used on him, and it's not that
Can
UK
you
did
say
not use
it was not used on him because Uhuru didn't have the number? So that is why Uhuru read very quick to do that handshake to prevent actually this move being pulled on him.
I mean, you know, Mika, I would say that, but you know, at some point there's numbers. There's also what is it that's giving you the numbers? Is it an envelope that's coming with the numbers, or is it the numbers based upon membership / affiliation? So some of these numbers are artificial numbers, and the artificiality of it is based upon the heaviness of the envelope.
Wow. This is
Which
this
is true.
interesting.
I don't argue that. But isn't that what everybody in that August house is in there for? Self-entitled, self-enrichment.
Yeah,
so
and,
it makes it even easier for them to lobby numbers if they want such things to happen. And I think one of the reasons why, you know, you said that, I think if we go back to where Joho said this clip, it clearly shows that even, I remember we were discussing it in the groups, and we were discussing who Ruto is going to, when Baba picked Martha, we started discussing who we are going to see. And all of us were on Kindiki. Everybody was on Kindiki. And then when it came to Gachagua, it was, the rumors came to the choice between Gachagua and Kindiki. Everybody was still saying it's going to be Kindiki. And so when it was Gachagua, the first impression was that this guy has bought this ticket, right? And even if you say that this guy has bought this ticket, the moment Gachagua was sworn in, he was given a certain, the way he started just talking and started spewing, saying things. You remember the word was that this guy, Ruto, is doing to this guy what Uhuru did to Ruto, giving him rope to hang himself. And I think Gachagua is just a means to get to the end, because there was that fear that if it was Kindiki, who's not Kikuyu, will Kikuyus vote for him, or will Kikuyus be more attracted to Uhuru and Martha combination? So for me, I feel that is what Rigathi was. And now that he is there, the guy has bought all the other politicians. He has them either by money or he has them by other means, but all of them are singing his tune. Okay. So it was just a matter of him consolidating the power, then him consolidating power working with ODM. And he's put himself in a place whereby, and that was a warning to anybody, whoever tries anything, to understand that I run this town.
Okay.
I'm the sheriff.
Sawa. Now, we have a comment here that's coming from Gerald Oliech, and he says, guys, why are we not pouring water on the fact that the union of Ruto and Raila has precipitated the ousting of the DP? And I also want to welcome Luis Muya and Joki Marianne. Please type in and let us know what you think up on Facebook. Now, going back on YouTube, Pukimanjaro saying it's Raila. Sorry. Raila got numbers in parliament. He will control a lot. He got Ruto real good. And then father says Gladys Wanga or Madividi will be VP. And then Wairimu says, why is it more difficult to impeach? Why is it more difficult to impeach a governor? Mwangaza was given a court reprieve. Governor Wambora, the same. I think you're asking why is it more difficult to impeach a deputy president. And I think this is an issue that we are going to tackle, the differences between impeaching a governor and impeaching a deputy president. But before we get to
president.
that, and the president, but before we get to that, I want to go to Uno Mike. Yes, we just want to go to maybe the legal defense strategy that's being mounted by Gachagua'S legal team. We know that it's being led by a very able Paul Muite, former Kikuyu member of parliament, former Kabete member of parliament, and a veteran politician. Maybe
and a very good lawyer.
Yeah, very good lawyer too. Maybe just highlight to us maybe some of Gachagua'S legal team defense strategy. What are they going to be saying? You know, like Mika feels very strongly that it doesn't matter what they do. Even Professor Makau Mutua earlier, I think it was today or yesterday, I can't remember. He told Mwite to stop misleading the deputy president. This is a done deal. But what is it that they have? What joker do they have that maybe people are not seeing?
Wapenzi wachangiaji, karibuni sana. So let me first start by saying, to chime in on what Gerald was alluding to. Right now, the perception of Gachagua being ousted when Raila has joined Ruto does not sit well. Perception.
With who?
With Mountain. Many names have been thrown, and I think we discussed this last week. In terms of, the possible whatever guys have thrown replacements. They're talking about Kindiki. There's also a chance, Madividi. Some quarters are saying Raila. So we shall see.
Yeah.
No, we shall see. But coming to the legal strategy, there's this guy, Lawrence Mugambi. Was being quoted over here. I have Julian's Amboko on Twitter actually referred this particular case to the Chief Justice.
Okay, so Lawrence
Mugambi is a judge.
Okay.
In the appeals court.
In the High Court.
In the High Court.
Yeah.
In the High Court.
And you see, this went straight to the Supreme Court.
He said, boss.
He did not even go to court.
No, he said he kicked it all the way up.
Yeah.
And the caveat over here, and I'll read it. He says here, and he quotes it over here. He says, there was also the question of whether the allegations subject to an impeachment should be circulated to the public with or without the response of the person being impeached, and if the absence of the availing the response compromises the public participation outcome and prejudices the person subject the person subject of the impeachment process by infringing his rights to fair administration and the right to a fair hearing under Articles 47 and 50 of the Constitution. These are substantial questions arising out of the instant impeachment.
That is very, very
Think about
interesting.
that.
Because that particular part,
yes,
a lot of the arguments on the charges, people are saying, like the charges, the 11 of them. So the legal team might beat some of them. They will not be able to beat all the 11 of them. But this particular one is a joker, because if let's say, for example, like the Supreme Court decides to take this into consideration, it means whatever charges came after that, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
So it nullifies all the 11 charges. So if we get an activist ruling where they side with Gachagua'S defense team, which I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I'm just saying if we get that ruling, this will negate everything else that came after that.
Now, Mika, here's another thing. Because this is public participation. So ideally, presentations, these things have been leaked. They were not leaked. They were actually given to the public.
They
were given to the public.
Yes.
So now there's also the question of, so he says over here, there's a question as to whether Standing Order 65, the procedure of removal of the deputy president from office, provides ample room for meaningful public participation in the impeachment process. Quote, the limited duration of 7 days to carry out the entire process was cited as having an inhibiting effect on carrying out adequate and meaningful public participation. The failure by the standing orders to integrate or provide for any mechanism for public participation and or framework to credibly authenticate the outcome of public participation process were some of the issues that the petitioners raised as requiring serious circumspection considering the fundamental position public participation occupies in providing continuous legitimacy to the actions of those charged with the exercise of delegated sovereign authority under the Constitution.
Okay, I know Mika has something
Yes.
that he wants to say, but to me,
No,
this
mine was
second
just
one-
a question.
Yeah.
That I think, Ali, you will be the best person to answer this. So that happens. They say they make a decision, a ruling that there was not enough public participation. What does it do? Does it only just delay the inevitable, or does it stop the impeachment from happening completely?
So that is an unknown. Because what the courts cannot do is that they cannot stop Parliament from proceeding to do another impeachment, starting it afresh. If this one is considered null and void, Parliament can just restart it afresh. So this will buy them time to do it again. So now this second one also brings, I'm interested to see what they'll determine is a reasonable timing for public participation on impeachment of a deputy president, because we've never had public participation on the impeachment of a deputy president. Now,
yes,
this might also go, like reverse gear. Remember, there are also current sitting governors who've been impeached and convicted by the Senate, but are in office courtesy of a court order.
yes.
There are some who've already been impeached: Ferdinand Waititu and
Sonko.
Mike Mbuvi Sonko.
Yes.
So now, if this is now reversed and looked in retrospect in terms of how much time was there public participation on the impeachment of these governors, how much time was that given? How much of this the jurisprudence that comes out of this ruling will also be applicable to those of governors as reasonable timing? Because these are things that have not been written in law. So one positive thing that we are getting out of all this, despite the fact that this impeachment is distracting other important issues, is that there is forceful civic education that is happening.
And also remember when Gachagua was defending, when he had the presser,
Yeah.
he said, I am taking my case, or this case has to be taken to the people
Yes.
that elected me,
Yes.
the 7.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
I am taking my case to them.
Yeah, he took it to the court of public opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think the strategy that he had at the point, it worked, because you started seeing, people now softening towards his plight. Now, not forgetting to answer Mika's question on, does this court process now, will it just delay the inevitable, or can it stop it and reverse it? I don't think the court process can completely stop it and say Governor Gachagua can never be impeached again. But I think what they can is say that this current one, based on that public participation,
The procedure.
defense,
The procedure.
the process and the procedure.
Yes.
Because this will negate all the 11. Because part of the strategy of bringing 11 charges was that a defense will come, they'll try to defend them, they can defend a couple, they'll not be able to defend 11. But now, with Mwite being a very experienced defender, he went for a strategy whereby he picked up on the process, whereby if it sails through, it will block all the 11 charges.
Because remember, okay, Mika,
But
go
then-
ahead. No, Mika,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I think my question for me is this, because I guess it's, yes, the judge will say that he wants to take it to a 3, and I believe that was an easy way out for him. This was an easy way out of somebody not wanting to take responsibility and pushing the ball down the field. Because the thing is, how can it's up to Gachagua'S defense to prove that that time was not enough, because the government has proved that it was enough for them to collect all those signatures or to have enough public participation, because they held it. Was it for how many days did
was
they
1 day.
do the public?
It was, I think, 2
thing?
days.
Was it two?
I
2
think it
days.
was 2
Yeah.
days, yeah.
They did it 2 days. They did it in every constituency. They did it at constituency level. They allowed. They invited the public to come in. in places where other people, the places where people didn't go, the people chase away the MPs. But at the end of the day, even if they say that there was people are saying kufa dereva kufa makanga, people didn't say makanga si kufe dereva ndo akufe pekee. So the I don't see them getting away with it. For me, I just feel it was a way of whereby a judge pushed the ball down the road, and with how where will the three judges that will be appointed by the CJ be able to refer before or now? Because if they refer by example on what's happening to the country and all the other impeachments, they've had less time for public participations and the impeachments have stood. So it is a good defense, but I don't see how the defense can prove beyond reasonable doubt that that time was not enough.
Okay, now that's now, like the government. You mentioned that the government has proved. The government hasn't proved anything because this case hasn't gone to court. It's the court to determine whether, whether those two, regardless of whether they're able to go to all the constituencies and get the signatures, the court is the one that will determine. Because if you see the way that defense was worded, they characterized the impeachment of a deputy president as a weighty issue. Like it's a weighty national issue. So now these are the things that will now bring jurisprudence to determine what is reasonable. I
was gonna say, Bandio mentioned something. I wish he was here so that he can say it. I think another issue was the way it was conducted, in that you first discuss the charges, you first ideally you say what you're going to say, then you bring a guy in, okay, defend yourself, instead of the guy coming in, these are the charges, what do these are whatever, okay, let us counter to at least give even the parliament or the members there, the guys who had signed, who had put their signatures on, a chance to listen.
Yeah, those two.
So it's like
those two charges.
This is like the putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah, that's two charges are existential. It's a defense strategy, kama ya Gabriel na Saliba, if I use a soccer analysis, whereby it's kind of like if this defense line works, it doesn't even matter if the other ones work or don't. To me, I think these are the two strongest ones. Of course, you're going to read us the other ones that Julian Samboko summarized there. And Apa Kenyanjui is complaining and asema, kwani guys, you guys don't believe no child is left behind. Can you explain the impeachment process from A to Z? I feel like I walked into a class halfway through the semester. So in simplicity, Kenyanjui, with impeachment of a deputy president, it's a member of parliament files a motion in parliament to impeach the deputy president. They present the charges. Then the deputy president is given a chance to come and defend themselves.
No. When you do the charges, there has to be enough number of signatures.
There has to be a certain number of signatures for the motion
to proceed.
So that for debate.
Yeah, for debate.
So that the DP can
come in. Is it 2/3 of the House?
No. That's not two.
That is
2/3.
Senate.
2/3 is now, like parliament voting, now saying that it can go to Senate for trial.
Yes.
So for the motion to pass, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's a much lower threshold. It's a lower threshold. So now it just says that this can proceed in parliament.
Yes.
So once it proceeds in parliament, and then the DP gets a chance to defend himself.
Yes.
People vote, and then now it's taken to the Senate. Now
if it
that's
passes
where it's
the
going
motion,
next week.
it goes to the Senate.
It goes next week. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the Senate, that's where it's gonna be next week, and then of course the procedures and processes are being challenged here. Other comments also coming from Kenyanjui says, Mike, I'm having sensory overload from all the reading. Can you give us the Reader's Digest version? It's been a long week. And then Hapa Njoki Merian is saying she's listening keenly, and Gerald Oliech Father says, this issue doesn't need to be looked at academically fully. Would this impeachment have taken momentum without the union of Ruto and Raila? The unprecedented numbers is in parliament was the majority of which are parties. So I agree with Gerald to a certain extent. I don't think without this union that this impeachment would have been
it wouldn't have happened.
It
would have happened. I personally feel, and this is now going to the realm of speculation because Kenyanju is tuned in and is gonna fact check us. This is the realm of speculation. I think this was a joker that the union with Raila was, let me not say a joker, let me call it an A. You know, an A stops kama ulikuwa game imeenda around, you being made to pick 12 cards.
Potato.
Yeah. Now uko na A, you can stop it.
Yes.
So I think the union between Raila and Ruto was an A that was thrown out too early because of the crisis that happened.
Because of the Gen Z movement.
Yeah, I think Ruto always had that A. He always had that S, but he didn't perceive himself using it this early. But he was forced to use it. Now, besides the S, he also had a joker, and the joker was impeachment. Yeah, and all this was supposed to come towards
Towards the
end.
Lakini hapa ni
But
fast.
because of what's happening,
The first quarter.
he's been forced to pull them out
Yes.
quick. So he now has to re-strategize or hope the new cards that he's gonna get will work for the next 3 years. So that's just my speculation. That's just my thinking.
So
I think he always, in his mind, he always wanted to get rid of this guy.
Ali, in my opinion, how I see it is this.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, right before the Gen Z demonstrations, Gachagua was very bullish on everything he said, everything he did. Even
Yes.
He was so, and then they was getting to a point whereby they were not even going to the same places together. Gachagua was actually he was so bullish to a point that he was going to Rift Valley and lecturing MPs in Rift Valley, in their homestead, in their backyard, right? And that is where that undermining the president comes in. And for me, and I still believe that the Gen Z protest made people make moves earlier than they wanted to make. And in between the Gen Z protests when they were starting, I think Gachagua saw his chance and tried to make a move. And that is why this guy went and negotiated with Baba. Because you remember, even before Baba joined in, Ali was among the first people to start saying, there's a coup. There's a coup. The deputy is trying to throw to take over from the president, to throw the president of the party. He's trying to cause a coup using the protest. And then the next thing, that's what came out. I don't know if you guys have heard the interview that Baba did. Was it today, earlier on today, where he said that when he was asked why did he make this decision to do this, and they said for him, where the country was going, he couldn't let it go that way. Like he talked in his regular parable ways, like because the guy also asked him about the impeachment, and for his answer was like, if I hadn't done what I had, we wouldn't be having a country right now. And that is why I did what I did. So for me, I think both of them, the Gen Z demonstrations, made them put their cards on the table. But Mbaya, the inexperienced one, is the one who put his cards first and forgot that the one who is fighting has danced this dance before and might have mastered a few steps to be ahead of him in that symphony.
So Mika unasema Gachagua also had a joker, but he pulled it out too early.
Alicheza
mapema. And then ikamrudia.
Na Ruto akamcounter na Raila, and that's the reason why the moment because you remember the moment Ruto secured Raila, what did Ruto do? He returned all his guys in government, right? He gave concessions to the protesters kidogo, hata kama si mingi, but he gave some concessions, and he went quiet.
Wow, this is quite interesting here. Naona hapa comments imechacha hapa, kuna comments zilikuwa zinakuja hapa on YouTube. And Wairimu says that the 2010 constitution was meant to secure the DP position a little better than it had been in the past. Ruto is basically upending appending an election without going to the ballot. And then Wairimu further says, also remember, Parliament is not held to beyond reasonable doubt. We were treated to a circus of innuendo and personal vendetta. The court standard is higher. And then Wairimu further says, Ali, those were not charges, they were allegations. DP has not been charged of anything yet by the DCI. Okay, that's interesting. And then Wairimu says, for some fun reading, look up the resignation of Spiro Agnew. He was Nixon's first VP, called him the bagman for his corruption. FBI did due diligence, which forced him to resign. So I think, the impeachment of Richard Nixon, because he resigned before he got removed from office.
Watergate.
Yeah, Watergate scandal. So that's some very interesting reading.
Yes.
As we sometimes get a lot of our precedent from American politics. And then going back to Facebook, Kenyan Jui here. Hey,
So I
Kenyan
think
Jui siku nyingi
he
hajakuja.
wants, Kenyan Jui wants,
Yeah.
so what happens? I think, go ahead.
Yeah. So Kenyan Jui is asking, you did a good job breaking it down. What happens after the Senate? Take us to the end of this process, to the point where he is let go, or is the Senate the final adjudicator of guilt and termination of office? And I think you can talk a little bit about that.
So
Mike.
usually,
Yeah.
the Senate is usually from what we've seen before.
It's a final adjudicator.
It's a final
The final
adjudicator.
adjudicator.
Like, when you look at Sonko, when you look at Waititu,
Yeah.
because even with
And
Sonko
Mwangaza
and
too.
Mwangaza, but
Yeah.
even with Sonko went all the way to the East African
Court of
of Justice.
Yeah.
Of course, akanyongewa. But if you remember, there's a time Martha Koome said that I don't know what on Spice she said, if you've been, kama mambo yako imeanguka, it's a wrap. That's what
Yeah.
she said. So ideally, what's going to happen? I think again, this is the impeachment of a deputy president. So what's going to happen is we're gonna wait Senate, and then probably because right now, as you have seen, there has been an open door where High Court Judge Mugambi has kicked it up to
the Supreme Court.
Straight.
Yeah.
Not even Court of Appeal.
Yoni kama goli anapasia striker.
Pale.
Yeah.
Anapatia Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
Enda ukafunge.
Kafunge hiyo bao.
Tuone.
Raya.
So-
Na huko mwingine anaenda kuzimwa.
We are yet to see.
Yeah.
It's
Let
not.
me
it's
ask you
not
guys
one
a
and done.
question.
Yes.
So, if the Supreme Court shuts it down, he can't appeal. Isn't that a South African court? India.
No, it's done.
I know it's done.
No, if the Supreme Court, if the Supreme Court shuts it down, rules against the defense,
It's a
it's
wrap.
over. It's a done deal.
Because even
So basically, nyie muoni hapo ndo ni kama ameenda kuzimwa proper.
So now you see, with Kome's courts, justifiably so, Mika, Kome's courts have been exercising judicial restraint. By judicial restraint, you would have been nice if Pablo was here, could explain these legal terms. Judicial restraint is when the apex court tries as much as possible not to upset established order.
Yes.
The Senate is the final ruler of this. They
Or
will
get
give the final
involved in
ruling.
political
They will not
affair.
want to get involved. However, I believe if this was a Maraga court, Maraga was very activist. By activist, it means that they're not scared of upsetting, existing order. For example, overturning what was decided by an electoral commission, by
Right.
IBC,
Right.
overturning a presidential election.
Yes.
That's judicial activism. I strongly believe if this was Maraga's courts, this would have
He
been
would have
overturned.
had a chance.
This would have had a chance.
But also, I think there's also adding to that one.
Yeah.
I think there's also an issue of making it fair, making sure that the process itself
it's fair.
is fair. When I say the process, it is whatever has been defined by the Constitution, whatever. If you're gonna talk about this, if I accuse Ali of stealing my chicken, I cannot go and say Ali that Ali insulted me.
Yes.
No. It has to be.
He may have insulted you while you're stealing
That
the
is
chicken.
fine, but it has to be about, because that is what. Because even if you notice when those guys were doing the readings and they were debating or whatever process was going on over there was not really addressing whatever
The allegations.
The allegations. We're not going to use charges as we've been corrected.
Allegations,
But
yes.
whatever had been put on the motion to start the impeachment process, because all that Gachagua addressed, he addressed it himself in the press briefing, and when he went in, and he even offered video anecdotes footage. Although Moshomba was talking about it was not the right way to go about it or whatever, but nothing really on the allegations that were whatever was on what the MPs appended their signature on was addressed even from their side, and that becomes the issue. So they wanna make sure that this process because you're going to set a precedent, meaning that the next time next person that comes in, they're going to make sure that the process that was followed, the process that was initiated, how it was carried, public participation, if it needs more than 7 days, and then it has to be bipartisan, or whoever has to go ahead and about, because the Bomas one was run by ODM.
The Bomas one,
yes, because it was TJ Kajwang.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
it was. But all we've been hearing was the Bomas one. We hear specs of whatever was carried out in Baringo. We hear what was carried out in other parts or whatever.
So there's a quantifiability part of it.
That's another issue.
Yeah, I think the most important thing that will come out of this whole process, whether Rigiji is impeached or not, or whether it's delayed, is the rules and the jurisprudence. That's what we don't have.
Period. And
that's what we don't have at the moment, and that will enrich the process.
Yes.
And it might also, Moshe, I want you to think about this. It might tempt people to think about how to recall and how to impeach other people. But before we get to that part, because it might now give people a playbook of how to impeach a president. But before we get to that, Kenyanjui has a very important question. And I know there was also other points that Julian Samboko brought up that I think we want you to finish for us.
Yes.
Kenyanjui is asking, is the Senate the final adjudicator of guilt and termination of office? Yes. And then, and in the Senate, does it come down to a simple vote, or is there a judge who hears the facts? So it's a hearing. It's like a quasi-judicial. It becomes a quasi-judicial body.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, just like also the Supreme Court, it will be votes. And this one, it's still 2/3.
Yes.
So out of the 67 senators who are there, one for each county, and 20 nominated. Oh, those are too many, by the way.
Yes.
So there's 67. Out of those 67, they need 45. 2/3.
Yes.
To convict him. So he needs 23 to save him.
To save his Tanye.
Yeah. So
where is he getting the 23?
23. No, that's what I'm saying. We are just now speaking mathematically.
We're just talking about the numbers. We're not talking
about... No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to think, where is he getting the 23?
We are talking the numbers. We're going to analyze if he can get the 23 or not. And then also, so as Uno Mike read us the other parts, as Omosh, I want you to think about this on, might this be giving people an idea of, or giving them a playbook of how to impeach a president.
Now,
let's go back to
I'm gonna go. I won't read all of them together, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mention something.
Before you read that, I forgot to do this. I want to remind the listeners that tonight the show is brought to you courtesy of money transfer app Lemfi. The One Mic Show is offering $30. Kenyanjui was not here last week. So I want Kenyanjui to know that the One Mic Show is offering $30 for the first $100 sent on your first transaction using the code One Mic, or using the link on YouTube or Facebook that's been pinned. If you click on that link, download this app, install, sign up, send $100, you get $30 back. That's a 30% return.
So basically, I'm a 70.
Yes, way higher than Froti Mahuta.
And it also helps us.
And I get $30.
And I get $30. Yeah.
Have a look at it.
Yeah. So Kenyanjui, your link iko hapo pinned. Please click on that. Download, sign up. Hata kama uko ready kutuma hiyo $100 leo. Hata kama uko ready kutuma leo, just download, sign up, and then
and
your
also
first
forward it
transaction.
to other chaps.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Forward it to friends.
Forward it
and
to
family,
friends, enemies,
ex-girlfriends,
neighbors.
ex-wives,
Yes.
yeah, and all those people.
Ex-husbands,
Ex-husbands,
ex-lovers,
yeah, future ex-husbands, and
future
all
ex-wives.
That. Yeah.
Sure there.
Yeah, sawa sawa.
So now let me say this, and this is,
Yeah.
and I think this is good as we're going. So now this is pertaining to public participation, because we've talked about public participation. We talked about how there's public participation in bombers organized by TJ Kajwang. Then the other ones that we know of are Baringo. We haven't had. I don't know. We haven't seen.
We've seen some clips,
We've
but
seen some clips,
it's really not
but
been
in strongholds.
the
But
drama.
there's no quantifiable
Yeah.
way to
There's no
say.
quantifiable.
Yeah.
So-
the people in Mandera,
Uh-huh.
this is what they want.
Exactly.
Or people in Kericho.
We had clips of them.
Yeah.
Northeastern, their clips were all they were
No,
very
the
good.
clips are there, Mika. But the problem, in fact, what's being challenged in court is this process is not quantifiable. So what's the point of having this process if there's no verifiable way of quantifying that this is what the people want?
And-
what is the point of doing it?
And what was submitted was,
Yes.
it is necessary, and this is now from that Julian Zamboko or whatever, part of the Justice Mugambi's analysis. He says that it is necessary for the citizenry of this country. It is necessary for the citizenry of this country know whether the current state of law allows them adequate opportunity to participate meaningfully in the process of the removal of the deputy president.
Repeat that again.
One mic. Or repeat it, and then I will blow a hole right into that.
Yeah.
It is necessary. So I'm just reading a highlighted part.
Yeah.
But prior to that, let me just prior to that, it is in my considered opinion that this matter deserves the input of the bench as to pronounce itself on a process that is constitutionally compliant to serve as benchmarks for future undertakings of this nature. It is necessary for the citizenry of this country
Absolutely.
know whether the current state of law allows them adequate opportunity to participate meaningfully in the process of the removal of the deputy president.
Mika, poke your hole.
So my hole for this is simple. This is not like an election where you can compare a certain to the number of voters that are registered voters to the number of voters that show up. This is a process whereby public participation is gazetted and announced that on a certain day there's going to be public participation about certain issue. And Mike Alibakuku, kujeni kwa chief, tutaongea, baraza itakaa. Baraza, if the people who are supposed to convene the baraza are there, and there are a few other people, even if they're 5, and the village has 50 people, but on the baraza, that's public participation. Public participation has never had a thing of whereby you need to quantify how many people need to be there.
Bas, now
So so you see, that brings an issue again to that for them asking that did it in terms of how many people are there, like quantifying the numbers are there.
Yes.
Is the representation. So again, as I say, this is just kicking something into long grass so that other people can make that decision for you.
Okay, very good hole that you've poked. Now I have a hole to poke on your hole that you've poked.
So
because and this is and now this is why I say this is good, because this is now becoming civic education for all of us.
All of us.
The spirit of public participation was for the public to air their views and for those views to be considered. So maybe quantifiable, maybe may not be the right word, but the views in whatever way they have to be considered. It's not a box checking exercise. And the Supreme Court has pointed this out before. Public participation is not a box checking exercise, because that's what like the government has been doing. On public participation mnataka, we are going to rent a hall, we are going to give you a chance to shout, we are going to give you papers to fill, and then we'll have checked that box. But the spirit of public participation is not to be a box checking exercise. The big gaping hole that we have is that Parliament has slow walked the public participation bill, which would have defined, like how this...
What exactly
the
is public
outcomes.
participation?
Yes. So now in the absence of that, that's where the courts come in and provide what's called jurisprudence, where it's a whole whereby the law hasn't provided for this. So now we have to give our position of this is how public participation will look. And the court tries to be reasonable, and they may even give recommendations that Parliament needs to go and write a law. But for now that there's no law, these are the guidelines that we give, and those are the guidelines that will be used with this case and going forward.
Now,
Uno.
I'm glad you brought that up. But before I read what Julian Samboko wrote,
Yes.
if you recall, there's a time there was some guys from, I think, not Kangemi, an activist and a lawyer were interviewed on Spice pertaining to the process and the procedure of
Yeah.
impeaching an MCA or a member of parliament or whatever.
Yes.
And they identified and they said that the law, members of parliament have, I'm going to use for they have sort of set up a system. If you want to impeach an MCA or an MCA, local, county, the process for impeaching somebody in the county is sort of clear. What you need is 30%. You need to look at each and every ward, and you have to get an equal, or you cannot just go to one ward. Say you cannot just go to Beltsville and get everybody signed up and say we're going to impeach Ali, because that would be biased. So you'd have to go to each and every ward, get a certain number, equal, and then that would be presented as signatures. You pick up those signatures, and then those, as long as they meet the threshold, then you can proceed with, meaning that you've got a certain percentage from this,
Yes.
a certain percentage, meaning that it is equally within from that particular place. Speaking of, what did you call it? Public Participation Act.
Yes.
He says, I'm quoting, I'm going to quote. On September 5th, 2024, the Office of the Solicitor General formally received the Public Participation Bill 2024 from the Clerk of the National Assembly. The bill is currently before the Senate's Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights for consideration and concurrence with the National Assembly. The Office of the Solicitor General to undertake a comprehensive assessment of the public participation landscape in the country and engage stakeholders. Based on the feedback received from stakeholders, the Office of the Solicitor General will then update the Public Participation Bill 2024 and make it available for review by the public.
Yes. So these are things that are happening live. They should have happened earlier.
They should have.
Yeah.
But
we also need to look at that bill.
Yes.
And see, like what it says and if it's consistent with the Constitution.
Yes.
Now, Wairimo is on fire. Wairimo is telling us, also this being a first under the new Constitution, the judiciary will be very careful about precedents. This case will always be the benchmark, 100%. So this one, where people will be watching. And then Wairimo also says, and I want people to fact check on this, nominated senators will not vote. He only needs 17 votes. The House allowed nominated MPs to vote, though. So someone fact check on that. As of my knowledge right now, I think all the 67 senators are supposed to vote, but I could be wrong on that. Someone please...
I believe it's all of them too.
Yeah, someone please fact check that. And then Hapa, I can see Adhiambo Daka is already in the building. Adhiambo says, let me see. Adhiambo says, hopefully as he goes out, he drags his thieving boss with him. Kwa hiyo mtaro, no compassion for arrogant, ugly, greedy people. And then Kenyan Jui says, Ali, thank you for that very coherent explanation of the process. I am sure not many understood the process. Omosh is conspicuously quiet on the subject, which tells me he too may be a beneficiary of your explanation. Omosh, is that true or false?
Huyo Kenyan Jui arudi pale alikuwa.
Okay. Haya, sawa. Umemaliza za Julius tuende kwa Omosh ama bado kuna zingine?
No. This one, no, nimemaliza.
Yeah.
Kuna ingine which I know you would love. I know this one.
Okay.
It's about the constitutionality or if Parliament is properly or improperly constituted. So no, hold on.
That one right there. That one.
Should I read that?
They pulled that one out.
No, soma hiyo hapo because when we go to him, because this is a poison pill hapa. If this one succeeds,
do you want me? Samangwe.
Where?
That one will be ignored.
So,
okay, read it. No, read it. Just read it so that people. We're in civic education mode. Yeah.
So, Julian Amboko says another issue that Justice Bugambi identifies is the question as to whether Parliament is improperly constituted, 2/3 gender rule, and therefore incapable of carrying out an impeachment process. Supreme Court Advisory Opinion number 2/2012 comes under sharp focus here, given the majority position that, in quotes, legislative measures for giving effect to the 1 to 2/3 gender principle should be taken by 27th August 2015. So, highlighted is very simple. The question whether the current Parliament is improperly constituted and thus incapable of carrying out impeachment process in the light of Supreme Court Advisory number 2 of 2012 was also highlighted. Okay, sasa.
That's a very poisonous pill, but wacha tusikie swali ya Mika first before I give my views on that.
Kaende.
Yeah.
Swali yangu ni, can they have an excuse there and say, because we know there's some constituencies which don't have MPs, and that is why they haven't attained the equal gender threshold.
No. Sorry. That
Mika
is reaching.
That's a good one.
It's a good question. You know, I think there's maybe 3 constituencies that don't have MPs. It's a good question, but I don't think...
There are 3 actually that don't have.
Yeah, but I think the gender rule...
And even IBC is not constituted.
Yeah, I think the gender rule... is not necessarily is on the MPs who are sitting, because there's the constitution.
It's based off the number of the people who are there.
Yes, the constitution does foresee a situation where a member of parliament
should everyone
might die.
be there?
Yeah, no, but not to get lost. Not to get lost on this point.
Go ahead, yes.
Not to get lost on this point. This ruling right here, I think this will be very extreme. I don't see Kome's courts, going for it. But I think this is the antidote that Kenya needs right now. Burn everything, like Eric Kilmonga says in Wakanda Forever. Burn it all. By burning it all, you're saying this parliament is illegally constituted. So burn everything and let's go for a fresh election. We reset the clock. Because right now, where we are, the problem with that ruling is that it might invalidate everything that this parliament did from when it was constituted
in 2022.
Yeah. Although the ruling was going back to 2015, it gave a deadline. The directive from the Supreme Court gave a deadline of August 2015. I think, it might, a lot of things might be destroyed. The whole country might be burned. So I think if they could give a ruling in a certain directed way to burn everything, I think Kenya, where tuko, we just need to be restored back to factory settings to anze fresh.
Don't you guys love civic education?
Yeah, to anze fresh.
Sasa hii fresh tutaanza bila IBC.
Hey. Okay.
Nauliza tu.
Now you're
sorry, I'm asking. I'm asking what Mika was thinking.
Kenyanjui sasa. Kenyanjui.
I'm asking what Mika was thinking.
That is a new spanner. Because
Ali, that is a very good question, because if that happens, the speaker is the one who's supposed to run the country for 90 days?
Yes,
another question.
An election has to be called, and then you still don't have an IBC that is constituted.
And then only the president can select a board.
No, but if parliament is being dissolved, the president is not dissolved. That's just parliament.
Let's throw a caveat.
So the president is still there.
We are not constitutional
because if the parliament is dissolved, the president and his cabinet, they still remain. They're still there.
But then whatever names they give still have to be vetted by folks. And if there's nobody to do the vetting, then you still cannot populate.
So that's what you call a constitutional crisis.
And over here, Gerald is saying IBC is another scam.
Yeah. That's what you call a constitutional crisis. So I think
so
these are
IBC
very weighty questions.
IBC has not been constituted.
Yes.
Correct.
So you cannot even...
You can't have an election.
You can't burn it all.
You can't burn it all.
You can't have an election.
Can't have.
Yeah. Because you can't have an election.
Right
No,
now,
you
we
can't.
can't
You-
even...
you can't do-
Yeah.
you can't do
elect
anything.
a cuckoo.
Yeah.
You can't...
Now, that's what I'm saying. When you hear that, and that's why those noises of a coup kind of start making sense now. It doesn't mean that it was going to be like a bloody coup, but there was a coup that was being put in here politically.
Mhm.
Because let's say we do kufa makanga, kufa dereva. Can the speaker refuse to institute a ABC and rule?
But I'm sorry, because
I don't think the Constitution allows for that.
The
The
speaker...
Constitution is very specific and says,
kitu ngumu.
hawezi.
No.
If you're following the Constitution, haezi.
Speaker kona
So-
shares.
so now-
Speaker kona shares for government.
When you do a coup,
Okay,
you
understood.
don't follow the Constitution.
No, you don't. But speaker has shares.
Yeah, typically when coups happen in other countries, they
suspend the Constitution.
suspend the Constitution.
They suspend
Yeah.
the Constitution.
Yeah.
But the speaker Wetangula himself right now, are we talking about Amazon?
No. It's Wetangula. Wetangula is the one who will become, if we don't have a president and a DP, Wetangula is the one who's next in line.
Wetangula kona shares. Alipewa na kakimia.
So now,
Where unajua, one Mike, let me tell you something. There's greed for two things in life.
Uh-huh.
There's greed for wealth
Power.
and there's greed of power.
Mm-hmm.
The latter is very dangerous. Ukionja hivi na unatamaa, you can do anything.
Okay. Mika.
So anaweza kuwa shareholder akona 30%.
Lakini ameonja.
Lakini
Mbona mimi
akiguza.
sikuwe na 100? Ajiambia mbona mimi sikuwe na 100?
akiguza Murima. Akionja Murima.
Murima ishaguzwa, Murima sasa ni
Ishaguzwa.
Hakuna
Murima right now, we are leaking our wounds.
Okay.
But over here,
Yeah.
But over here, Gerald is asking a very I don't know. How Kenyans keep bringing up IBC defeats me. Here's the thing.
Because we need an electoral body so
Unfortunately,
that we can have elections.
the way things are set up,
Yeah.
we need IBC.
We need IBC.
No matter
You
Yeah.
can't
what.
play a game without a ref.
No, you can't.
Even if you don't like the refs,
Even if
there has to be a ref.
we don't like...
You cannot recall
Michael
MPs, you
Oliver.
cannot
You
cannot
can't.
do anything.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where we are.
Yeah. But now, like just taking a slightly different tangent, because these are very weighty issues that even we, like with all the research we've done, we cannot adjudicate. We have to wait and see what's going to happen next week.
I have one more, but
we're
gonna
teaching on a
read
constitutional
later.
crisis. We'll read it later.
Yes.
Now, Omosh,
Almost.
now, do you think with what's happening, with the playbook that the Supreme Court is going to give next week, of this is how an impeachment is supposed to happen, do you think maybe secretly people are going to, they're secretly writing a playbook of what people who've been shouting Ruto must go will try to use in future? Because now we'll have a playbook that this is how it's supposed to be done. Because we've never impeached a president before, but a deputy president is what comes closest to a president. What do you think?
Well, I guess you can say that it's been written because then now we have precedent, right?
Yes.
So, and normally you go with what has happened before.
Yeah.
And then, of course, out of that, there's lessons learned and what can actually work and what is constitutionally sound, or should I say backed by law, right? And once all of those things are put together, then now you know exactly what it is that you would need to do. If it's you have to do 1 + 1, 1 + 2 + 4 + 8 + 9 to get this person out, then you
Yes.
know that that's exactly what you need to do. You may rearrange how you get to that 48 number, hypothetically,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that you have to do the 1 + whatever. You could start with 9.
But Omosh, is this playbook of yours a playbook for everybody, or is it a playbook that everybody? Because what I'm thinking, how I'm understanding at least, how if I was a politician
Correct.
right now, if I was a politician right now, and I have ambitions for office, for going for higher office.
Uh-huh.
The past two regimes have taught me how to survive and how to attack, and how you need to attack. And I'm seeing these asset presidents, not in a good way. Yes, we know now that you can impeach leaders. It's easy to impeach leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Also, ambitious people who are on the other side have known that it's going to lead to a very corrupt and cutthroat political scene in the country, whereby people will be buying people now. Everybody will be looking for numbers. Deals will be cutting deals. So unless the level of politicians that are sitting in office are cleaned up, I think this is a very, very bad can of worms that has been up.
I think, Mika, you're right. However, this is one of those things that I would say, for all intents and purposes, we have been overtaken by events, because the precedent of impeachment started with
governors,
and it's just been working its way. So eventually, we were gonna get here.
But even that has been hard, because how many governors, how many MPs have we had that have been impeached or they've been recalled, but they're still in office? Even Sifuna on the show, he admitted that.
Yes, we actually have two governors who've been impeached and they're out of office.
Correct.
Yeah,
so that's a very high number. That's out of 47 governors.
Said how many MCAs and MPs are in office with court cases, because of court cases. They finish their terms with court cases.
So MCAs and MPs, that's different, because they're not impeached. They are recalled.
Yeah.
They're recalled. And actually the MCAs, there's never been a recall process for any MCA or member of parliament.
No.
That's a process that has not been tested, which I think also needs to be tested.
It's coming.
What has been tested is impeachment. So Wambora survived. We have the Kericho governor, I'm forgetting his name.
Kivuda survived.
Kivuda survived. I don't know that Kivuda's got to the Senate, but Kivuda survived.
I think he survived locally.
He survived locally.
But Wambora survived.
Wambora survived the Senate.
Yes.
Mwangaza was actually convicted by the Senate, but he's in office courtesy of a court order.
Yes.
The Kericho governor, I'm forgetting his name. The Kericho governor, it's not made it to the Senate.
It's on Monday.
It's coming.
It's the one just before.
Senate is gonna be busy.
It's Monday, Tuesday,
Monday,
is them,
Tuesday,
and then
Thursday.
They ingia Gachagua.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. So the Senate will be quite exact. And I think another thing that also, with all this civic education that's coming out, is a function of the Senate, because for a very long time, and justifiably so, people are always asking, why do we have senators? But now you see processes like this. Processes like this.
Oversighting the...
Yeah. And I think that's why it's important to educate yourself before you go into blanket statements, because I don't think... Look at how Parliament has been captured. Likely Senate has also been captured, but I think Senate, there's a better chance of at least better deliberation and a just hearing. I think just the final voting is the one.
Yeah, because you have your lawyer there. You can do your defense and all of that,
but
and it's supposed to be listened to and weighed.
At the end of the day, it's a vote, and it's a political vote.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
At the end of the day, it's a vote. It's a political vote.
But I think also, that it is a political vote, but also procedure. And I guess going back to what Ali was saying, at some point, there has to be a semblance of structure and process to make sure that if it's the modality and the formalities of you're trying to impeach this guy, so you've got articles of impeachment, whatever it is being said, however it's being said, if it can be argued, if you can defend yourself or whatever, you have to make sure that this process in itself, the first time they have to get it right.
Yes.
And I think that is why Mugambi, big up to, because that's the same guy who High Court judge.
Oh yes, they had pulled his nini.
He had
that's
pulled
the same
his
guy.
You know
they
why?
Pulled his security
because
of the ruling. Yes.
Because of your dad career, this interim IG.
The IG.
Masengeli,
whatever his name is.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had been ordered
Yeah.
and then he had been ordered to serve term. So this guy is like, you know what? I'm not going.
So he punted.
He punted, but guess what? He's like, you know what? Because remember,
But he
let
punted
somebody
with
else
a
say-
message.
let
It wasn't
somebody
a
else-
the
blind-
message.
it
Let
wasn't
somebody
a blind
else's
punt.
let someone else's security get
yeah, but
docked.
let him punt.
Yeah.
No. It's a punt in that, because you think about it, because he
Correct.
could have just said,
No,
but let me punt, so that let it
Let's-
not be that
I'm the one who stopped the process.
I'm the one who stopped I do not want to be the one who tainted the process. Let this one come from the
High
highest,
above, yeah.
Yes.
the highest.
And I siende to anyone else, so they go
No,
through
no.
what I went
So
through. What I
actually
iende
punt
kienda.
straight.
Direct injection.
Yeah.
Direct injection.
Direct.
He,
Alipiga ondole kutoka number 5.
Yeah.
in Omoshe's words, he injected
He injected.
to the top.
Now, Kenyanju is saying, does impeachment and removal from office bar you from running for other government
Yes.
offices?
Yes.
Very good question. It bans you for life.
It's a wrap.
You can't run for senator.
should
You
ask,
can't run
he
for
should
governor.
ask
Any
Sonko
political
and
office.
Waititu.
It's a wrap for
yeah,
you.
it's a wrap.
Like Toroitich.
Toroitich, yeah, it's done. It's a
a wrap.
done deal. But DP has a chance of saving himself from that fate by resigning right before the trial
ruling.
Yes.
at the Senate.
Because he
Let's
no,
also not rule that out.
No, let's not.
Rule that out.
So are you saying that tuseme hii process ya yake si ni
Another
Wednesday,
resign on Monday.
ni Wednesday na Thursday,
Yeah.
Yes.
He can resign on Tuesday.
sindio? So can he
Tuesday,
resign
4:52
on Wednesday
PM.
in the morning
Yes.
I think as long as you resign before
before they deliberate?
yeah, and
Or should
no
I say before they
maneuvers.
vote?
Yeah.
I think before your time, the allotted time that you're supposed to appear.
So now I think this might also come in if he chooses to resign.
Think about that.
Yeah, this must also be made clear that you have to resign by this time for you, because it's also
but
it's
there's
also not clear, because if you've
It's not clear, so you don't know.
if you're no longer VP
Uh-huh.
and now
They-
you see
Yeah, how do
they-
you rule on
Excuse me.
on
excuse
a
me,
position that's not there?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
It's DP.
yes, if you're no longer DP,
Thank you,
point
Thank you
taken.
kindly, brother.
Yeah, if you're no longer DP, then the process is not there. But now let's also remember the people who are responsible for gazetting the resignation of a deputy president are under the president's control. So your resignation, because you have to have legally resigned.
So are you saying that hapa kwa government press printings sijui nini
They're on
nothing
standby.
Yeah, they're on standby.
nothing will happen?
They're on standby to
Yani
do
ile
nothing.
announcement ile waga natokaga na kale kanini
So
coat
does-
of arms.
So does
Yeah.
the DP usually have
Welelo ya,
a resignation letter already set?
I think
Already-
you know, it's
already-
interesting that you say that, because we've had scenarios where it's like, okay, as part of you coming in for the job, you already have a resignation letter
letter
sitting
Signed,
at my
yeah.
desk.
And I had that from Morara. And yeah,
yes.
you have a resignation letter signed. So and this is according to Morara,
So
it's not me. He
I can
said
pull it out at any point and wave it in the air.
the former IG, Japheth Koome,
Had two.
yeah,
When he was hired,
like he didn't even know that he had resigned. He just heard that he had resigned, and the documents were already gazetted. So that's interesting. I want
okay,
to
oh, sorry.
But are you saying that if it's not gazetted, then it is not?
no,
No,
it
no,
is
no,
not.
no, 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 no. You already have two letters.
No, but what I'm saying here, what Ali is saying about the gazettement, right?
Yeah, the
if it is
gazettement,
not
yeah,
gazetted, then that means
it
that
has to be
is not.
gazetted. Yeah,
No, it has to be gazetted.
So
has
he,
to be
he
gazetted,
can't
yeah.
come out and wave a white flag and say,
no.
I'm on X
No,
and I've
no.
X'd myself out.
Kuna ruma alipigiwa simu on Monday akaambiwa resign akakataa.
Okay. Aya, sawa.
As Mika said, rumor.
Yeah, and then hapa
Hiyo ni ruma, ni kama tu ile simu anasemanga Morara alipigiwa ama kupigiwa, pia bado ni ruma. Unajua kuna vitu zingine huwezi argue.
But
Yeah.
we've had that. We've had
yeah,
that.
sasa
urban legend
hapa
before.
hapa Wanjeri is saying it's cowardly to resign. And Gerald Oliech says, I feel he didn't take the resigning option because he has a few cards up his sleeve. Then Kenji says, sure that you don't have the detail, but let me ask this. Can they afford to screw with the VP or DP? Kwani Rigiji does not know where the bodies are buried. That's another thing that we don't know.
But there's
and then Wanjeri says resigning would be an insult to those who went for public participation.
No, there's over here. Kenyanju is asking. In other words, can the VP run for Senate or governor? No.
No, yeah.
You can't run for
for life.
any political office. Is a wrap.
Okay.
Nothing.
All right. I want to remind the listeners that you're tuned in to the One Mic Show, and I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi, with my panelists here. I have Omosh besides me, I have Uno Mike, I have Mika, and we're here talking about the ongoing drama surrounding the impeachment of Kenya's deputy president. Now, DP Gachagua is scheduled for an impeachment trial next week in the Senate chambers, in a process that might lead to his removal from office. His legal team, led by veteran lawyer Paul Mwite, is mounting a fight in court, hoping to be saved from the butcher's knife. We'll shortly be talking about other critical issues that have been obscured by the impeachment trial, including abductions and enforced disappearances. So stay tuned for that. Our lines are open. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Hii topic ni moto. Sijui kwa nini hakuna mtu amepiga. The number again to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Feel free to call in. And then again, I'll remind you that tonight's show is brought to you courtesy of money sending app Lemfi. The One Mic Show is offering $30. Kenyan Jew, I don't know whether you've taken advantage of our $30. We're offering a
Kwanza
whole
sign
$30
up. Sign up kwanza.
for the first $100 sent on your first transaction using the code One Mic. Or if you don't want to use the code, there's a link already on YouTube and Facebook that have been pinned. Click on that link, download, sign up. Even if you're not ready to send the $100 right away, you can wait until your next paycheck gets in, send it, and you get $30 back. Now, click the links, of course, are on the comments, so please go ahead and do it. And we want to thank those who already did it last week. And please take that link, copy paste it, share it with your neighbors, share it with your friends. Mara nyingi watu wanatuuliza, oh, you see you guys doing, like this show, where can we help? So this is part of what we're trying to see. We're on a trial basis with Lemfi, depending on how many of you download.
By the way,
Yes, so this is
download
depending
and
on
install.
you. Yeah, and this
You're
will
not
allow
an
us
attacker.
As
to
well
have-
as forward to all your friends and others.
And access.
Yes, and this will allow us to have a few coins in our pockets to keep the lights on, to make Omosh look handsome, even though in real life he's not. Things like those. Things like those.
Hold on.
Yeah.
No. Let me cue there. Okay, go ahead.
Yes,
To make Omosh,
to make Omosh handsome.
look at point at him. Point
Although
at
in
him.
real life, right
Point at
here,
him. Yeah, that
although in
one.
real life he's not. To make his hair look like he actually went to a salon when alijisuka. But yeah, so those are the cameras we have allow us to do
You should
that.
have just said no Didi after that. But carry on.
Hapana, hiyo tuliwacha
Surely.
last week.
Sorry.
Hiyo tuliwacha last week. But yeah, so please download this and let us know. And like I said, we'll shortly be talking about enforced disappearance. This has been another big issue
Yes.
that has been happening, that has kind of gone under the rug because of all this political drama that has been going on. Kenyan Jew says, I would have scored an A+ in GSC had I today's civic class at the same time. Yeah, so back here up, and now if you download that
Lemfi,
app,
yes.
Lemfi, and you sign in and eventually send $100 and get $30 back, it will allow Lemfi to be paying us so that we can keep these lights open.
And we keep this GHC cost.
Yes,
on
going.
and popping.
We'll keep it going because 2027 is not that far. We
It's
don't
not
even
far.
know whether we'll get there, but we have to have all the tools necessary to get us
So
there.
to say DNA.
Yeah. So now, going back to those comments, Amboko,
Yes.
because we're already talking about the dissolution of Parliament, and we already started that discussion of should Parliament be dissolved, because clearly 281 votes, like over 80% of the total, because there were a couple who were absent. I think there was like 18 absent. I think there was like one abstention. But Parliament basically was house full. It's never been that full before, and you saw like everybody just went with the flow of the program, which leads to people saying that Parliament has been completely captured and it no longer represents the interests of the people, but it's representative of the interests of a few people who are in leadership. So kwa hiyo option ya dissolve Parliament, we already deliberated on it. Do you think it's a viable option, Uno Mike, as you read us the other point that Julian's made regarding the impeachment, or rather the court case?
So I think there were 6. Kulikuwa na vidokezo 6. Kwa hiyo ya Julian's Amboko. And let me if I can get this thing.
Yeah, he very carefully crafted, like a summary of what, because we were having a hard time getting the actual full document.
We did.
Yeah.
We actually did. We were trying to. So we ended up just going with what was posted on the. Because I asked earlier, like, do you have the whole document? Like, no. Let me ask my sleuths. But so the last part, the final one, this one, maybe let me give at least some breathing space. So finally, the judge raises the question: jurisdiction. Does the jurisdiction of the High Court extend to interrogating the material relied upon under an impeachment process as approved by Article 145 of the Constitution? Says, finally, notwithstanding the voting in terms of numbers in both the National Assembly and the Senate on the impeachment motion, if the jurisdiction under Article 165.3 extends to interrogating the material relied upon under 145, so as to determine if the threshold to support the allegations was established either in the National Assembly or the Senate or in both.
So to me, this one right here, and this one is being brought up by the High Court, but to me, I think this looks like the weakest one. So basically, I think what it means is, do the courts have jurisdiction in determining whether those allegations that are being brought in the National Assembly meet the threshold of an impeachable offense?
I agree with you, and I think those ones are weak, but the ones that are, because
the ones that attack the process, yes, I think those are stronger. But
because they're stronger, because guess what? Because
yeah,
now all those lead to
the
final
all
one.
those lead, but this one of attacking, the allegations.
Yes.
Because you see, the thing is with impeachment is a very weird animal. It doesn't have to be a criminal case, and maybe we need to go back and read the
Where's
Constitution.
Pablo when you need him? Pablo!
Maybe we need to go back and read the Constitution, but that threshold is determined, the judicial body that determines the threshold is the Senate. So
Yes.
the Parliament just says, okay, these allegations look good enough, send them to court. And what is the court? It's a Senate. So the Senate is the one that adjudicates whether they merit or do not merit impeachment. So I don't think, at this part, I don't think, and I could be wrong, that the court can make a determination on the threshold. Let's say, if there was a stupid allegation, let's say, someone is being impeached for passing gas. You like passing gas all the time. Stupid reason, but now, can the court come in and tell the Senate, okay, this has not met the threshold for impeachment. So you cannot impeach someone for this offense. That, I think, will be now crossing, the separation of the different branches of government.
Let me ask you something, Ali. And I don't know if there's a correlation. Maybe Mika can help with this. Usually the NFL, MLB, NBA try as very much as possible not to go before Congress, because Congress is going to pass laws with which those bodies have to abide by.
Yeah.
Right?
Because Congress actually has laws on what they're currently abiding by.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, is this a way of this guy saying, listen, we don't want to come in. We want you, Senate, boss,
To sort this.
please manage these my challenges.
Yeah.
Because if we come in, we're going to come in with the law. I think that is, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I think they're like,
Yeah,
in as much as it is weak that you say, but it's weak because they're like, hey, okay, listen,
Yeah.
the boss, can you manage these much challenges? Because if we come in, they are going to come in interpreting the law
Yeah.
properly
So-
as it
Yeah.
is. Mika.
What if that last point that he put out, then the three bench decide that the courts don't have any jurisdiction in prosecuting them?
No, this is specifically
This
on
is-
prosecuting the allegations, not the process. The process, that's constitutional.
Yes.
But now the allegations. Does the court have a right to come and make a determination if these allegations met the minimum threshold,
And
as
they,
laid out by the Constitution?
and they want to avoid that.
They want to avoid that.
They,
Oh,
they,
but there is
don't want-
one that will Nini, the one that he went after the NIS boss. That's rock solid.
No, but that's not that's not so like that's the if that's a criminal offense, then it should be charged. The problem right now with these
No, not
allegations.
as a criminal offense. If you
Yeah.
look on the thing, that is undermining the president, because that is undermining the president is saying the NIS have said this and they're doing this, and then he turned around and blamed the NIS and said the NIS had not done anything.
But now,
Right.
what the courts are trying to say is we want the Senate to determine that.
but
We don't want to be part of making that determination.
Yeah, so that's another thing, and like for me is that with this one is the Senate can determine and say yes, this is it, because at the end of the day, let's not forget that everything the Senate is doing is politically motivated. So we are looking at it from a logical point of view and try to look at it from a law point of view.
and
But the
even-
Senate is going to be politically motivated, always. Same as Parliament, same as the presidency.
but I
And that is the one thing that the courts are going to try to avoid. To leave politics to play to politics.
No, but Mika, if I may ask, I get it, but I think also the notion or the idea of the court, because I don't think they want to really disrupt the process, but they also want to make sure that within the process of how this thing is carried out, if you're going to impeach, and that is where, like with Mugambi putting out his 6-piece or 7-piece or whatever,
Yeah.
saying like now, for example, is Parliament properly constituted to that gender rule? Is there adequate public participation? Is 7 days enough? Right? When he's talking about there's some other things that that escape my mind, but in terms of just the process itself, like make sure that the Constitution has set public participation with the Public Participation Act, right? With the Public Participation Act.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In as much as hatutaki kuingilia, we want to see, like, and Omosh knows this, like before, let's say, for example, if Ali calls and says that, my computer is not working, kuna check mark, you'll go through. Is it plugged in?
Yes.
Power button.
Mm-hmm.
Have you restarted?
Did you remove the floppy disk?
Do you
And sometimes
do you have
even
pending?
even good IT departments give these templates
Yes.
to people.
Have you restarted?
before they
You
call.
have pending
Yeah.
updates or whatever before we come in.
Yeah.
Like, okay, have you talked to Omosh?
Yeah.
No,
Give
have you
us
talked to
a
Mika?
playbook. Yeah.
Oh, no, like,
Mhm.
okay. So then when they come in, these have been checked in. And I think that in as much as, because remember, it's a political process. And it is, in itself, it is ni changamoto. You're trying to avoid flare-ups and fires. But we want to make sure that this process, if anything, within this window, imefuatiliwa. And I think And I think that is why Mugambi is saying, you know what, let me not be the jury, judge, and the executioner, because me niko hapa to High Court. CJ, Fafanua, such that
Yeah, and
precedent, once it is set,
it's never.
now you can challenge precedent.
And that is why if we go back to earlier why I said this can be a can of worms, because this is a chief justice, or this is a judiciary that basically sings to the tune of the government pretty much, and
Right.
it can set a precedence of all this is okay for an impeachment. And this is where all the other courts will be referring to when an impeachment happens. But then it can turn out, mtu kuambia sheria msumeno. Ali, you know that saying is right? Sheria
Yes.
msumeno. Kata pande zote mbili, ikienda
Yes.
mbele kirudi nyuma.
Yes.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
So it might serve right now pretty well. But then if you're an ambitious politician, and this is the president that has been set, guess what does this give you? A playbook of how to make your moves.
And okay, and agreed. It gives you a playbook until the next time eyebrows are raised. And they're like, let us, because you know what? There have always been adjustments and amendments.
True.
There will always be,
But-
there will always be that. So we have learned this again, like, you know, the Dred Scott case. You know, when you look back in the
Yes.
day, whatever,
Mhm.
you know, when you look at that, you know, Brown versus Board of Education prior to that, like, but at least kuna foundation na kuna grounding. At least there's a beginning. There's a beginning. There's a start. At least now, you know what, we can start from here, because now they look back, they'll be like, okay, chances are some brilliant lawyer somewhere is gonna come back and say, you know, we did this, but however, this was never exhausted, or this was never looked into. But actually, out of this bore this, because remember, we had, you know, this, we could be doing this right now, and we are looking at this as it is right now. Maybe 5 years down, you know, after 2027, who knows? Something is gonna come up that probably we never thought. Because like now, many people have never thought or understood or comprehend the 2/3 gender rule.
Yes, and that's right
True.
there.
No one
Sheesh.
right now,
Yeah.
even our
then-
listeners right now, they don't know. Even when you talk about properly constituted parliament, as
Now-
we speak right now,
Forget about 2/3 gender rule. There is another one that states that within 12 years of IBC is supposed to do what's called redistricting. I think it's between 10.
And
Is
twe-
it, it's 8 to 12 years.
Yes,
I think it's
something like
8 to,
that.
something like that.
10, I think
But,
it's
but
10.
but we already passed that time.
yes,
So no redistricting
None.
has been done.
none.
So that's another part that can also become a poison pill. There are so many different poisonous pills that can be thrown, whereby we just get a crazy activist
And that-
judiciary,
Uh-huh.
they can burn everything.
And that is why, and that's why I'm saying, like, it that in itself can cause, let us look into this again.
Yes.
It is going to do that.
Yes.
Because there's so many things that we do not know. We are not aware.
Yep.
We are not familiar with the constitution, the law. We are not, again,
The 2/3 gender rule, I like the spirit and the idea, but I think it wasn't properly thought out on how difficult it will be to implement. Other parliaments, you know, like have higher percentages of women than Kenya, despite not having a 2/3 rule. Tanzania has a higher percentage of women in their parliament than Kenya. Rwanda, I think, is almost at 50-50. So there's something, you know, like either we are doing fundamentally wrong, whereby even despite a law, we are still not meeting that threshold. And I think what this law did, it made, you know, like women who could qualify to run decide to go for the woman's rep seat. So now you're leaving more men for these constituency seats, because I think when you look at the constituency seats, the percentage of women has not increased, because the idea was once we start having these women rep, the percentage of these constituencies will increase the number of women, and then at some point, because even the women rep, another thing that a lot of people don't know, and which is why it's good to have this civic education, there's a sunset clause. I don't remember like exactly what number of years it is. There's a sunset clause for women rep, because it was supposed to make way, create new leaders who will now be able to vie for the normal seats.
And again,
but do you think that the reason why some of these numbers are the way they are is because of our politics in Kenya, where it's male centric, and it's male centric to the point where the voters are not gonna vote in women unless
it could be
unless they are being grandfathered, or should I say they are being held, their hands are being held by somebody who they respect.
But we've had quite a few women governors who stood on their own. We had Charity Ngilu, who was a governor.
Okay, but Ali, you have to go back to the history of someone like Charity Ngilu. Ex her, you can't use her.
What about Gladys Wanga? Gladys Wanga was held by
hands were held. Yes. And that's why I'm saying that if your hands are not being held by this person, or you're not coming from, say, a political family like Kihika, then Awingi, Utoboy, someone either has to hold you, bring you in, or you come from a political family.
So that's a puzzle which, I'll be honest, I don't know how to solve.
And unless we unlock that key, or we open it up and get our voters to the point where it's the best person for the job, man or woman, it's not going to change. Based upon our voting patterns.
Okay.
Did you guys listen to Bob Njagi's interview on Spice?
I did. Bob Njagi, for people who don't know, Bob Njagi
is it part of your career?
Yes. So we're gonna.
He's on the playlist.
No,
he's on the Bob Njagi is on the playlist.
Oh, okay. Because
we're gonna talk about him.
Bob Njagi was mentioned about the Kerala. Oh, sorry, no.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Bob Njagi is one of the people who was abducted, held for 32 days, and was recently released. So we're gonna talk about him shortly.
From August, right?
I can't remember exactly when.
Something.
Yeah, yes. but we're going to talk about it.
No, what I was going to say, Mosh, I think at some point, and you're right, and this is this is why I think it is important for people to be educated on constitution, because Mugambi, Justice Mugambi, you know, big up, is saying, let's do this. Wacha nirudishe huko ndani, ndio sasa watu wafanye nini? Let the powers that be, let the CJ create a precedent.
Yes, and Apa Warimo was has a couple of comments she was making on YouTube. She says there's no benefit in resigning at this point. His goose is cooked. Proceeding to court leads to discovery. Wacha achome. And then says impeachment in Kenya keeps you out of elected office or civil service for 10 years. After that, you can apply for a review and reconsideration by the courts. I highly doubt this. I think impeachment keeps you out for life, but we have a lot of fact checkers. Please do the fact checking.
We appreciate being fact
yes,
checked.
Someone fact check that. I think impeachment in Kenya bars you from office for life. Once you're done, you're done.
Yeah,
from what I know.
Yeah, you're done. It's a wrap.
Yeah, it's a wrap. Like you cannot run again. Esther Mulusa siku nyingi sana hatuja kusikia from that village. What was the name of that village again? Chivaluvalu. Yeah, something like that, something close to that. Esther Shimalavandu, yeah. Esther says Botswana has had many women in politics, public office and private sector boss ladies. So Kenya, this is one of those things where I mean, I wish we had like a woman on set today, Ruth. I will inbox you. It's about time urudi sasa. That's something that we need to talk about. But that's another aspect that can burn everything. Now there was some. Now before that, again, tonight's show brought to you courtesy of Lemfi Money Transfer app. Money, the One Micro is offering $30 for the first $100 sent on your first transaction using the code OneMic. So Kenyan Jui, please download that. click on the link pinned in the comments, both on YouTube or on Facebook, depending on where you're tuned in from, and download it, sign in. If you're not ready to send the $100 right away, don't do it right away. You can do it later, but you get $30 for doing that. Now, there were some critical issues, which is one of the reasons why we were debating earlier that this impeachment process was being seen as a distraction to so many other important issues
Yes.
that we've been experiencing. There was the healthcare reform. There's of course Adani.
Shift.
There's an issue with healthcare reforms, the SHIF and SHA. You know, like the rollout has been completely botched. You know, I'm hearing speculations and rumors that civil servants have been taken back to the old system. I don't know how true that is.
Speculation is true.
It's true.
Okay. All right.
Wamerudi.
Yeah. So
Meaning they never left.
yeah. So there's that.
100.
Then I don't know whether you guys had this, but Sabina Chege.
No, I haven't.
Sabina Chege, who's is she nominated? I'm even forgetting.
She's nominated.
There was
Yes,
a time when
I
she was
think
a
she's
woman.
She's
nominated,
nominated.
By Azimio.
Yes.
Yes, I think she's nominated by Azimio. She went
In Jubilee. Barako Jubilee, yes.
Yeah, but that's under the Azimio.
So there's something that she's sponsoring called Horticultural Crops Authority Bill. I don't know that you guys have heard of this. I
No.
had this on Lin Ngugi's show, and I got very worried. There was a lady who was talking about farming, you know, and you know, like some of the controversial aspects that were introduced by this bill for horticultural traders. It includes mandatory licensing for anyone involved in the cultivation, processing, export, and import of horticultural crops like fruits, vegetables, and flowers.
Okay, come back again.
Okay.
Wheel up,
So
wheel up.
the horticultural, how is this pronounced? Horticultural.
No, you got it right. You got
Okay,
it right.
You're right.
okay,
You don't have to do but it's fine. You're right.
Okay. I'm trying to do the Kenyan accent. You know, my American accent sometimes does not Kenya the way it's supposed to. Kenya.
You'd say horticulture.
Yeah. So Horticultural Crops Authority Bill is a stringent regulatory framework. It introduces let me read it again. It introduces for horticultural traders mandatory licensing for anyone involved in the cultivation, processing, export, and import of horticultural crops like fruits, vegetables, and flowers. This regulation extends to both large-scale and small-scale players, which some critics argue could disproportionately burden smaller farmers.
Correct.
Now, the bill also proposes heavy penalties for non-compliance, including fines of up to 2 million Kenya shillings or 3-year
Surely.
prison terms for unlicensed activities, and introduces export-import levies that could impact the profitability of businesses. Moreover, it mandates environmental conservation practices, which could further raise operational costs for farmers and processors. While the bill aims to improve food safety and ensure traceability, it risks pushing small-scale farmers out of the market due to high compliance costs.
Public participation is important. in
Yeah.
this.
But you know, based upon what that says, that the bill is improving what was it again?
It says the bill aims to improve food safety and ensure
Okay.
traceability, but it risks pushing small-scale farmers out of the market due to high compliance costs.
So if you want to trace people, why don't you just get them to register, as opposed to saying that they need to license? And you can, and literally the same way that they have these agricultural officers
Your
go
bill.
from farm to farm,
Yeah.
That bill.
they
that
can
bill
go
is
and do
being-
that. What are they being paid for?
Okay.
That bill is being sponsored and paid for.
Correct.
By-
By a large.
By who?
by a multinational.
But yes, by
It's
a large,
probably by
a
some
large
multinational.
conglomerate
Yeah.
to get rid of these small farmers. Because think of that guy in Machakos who does the oranges. You know those oranges of Machakos, Gachagua'S and Nini. They come out. In fact, I think they just harvested literally between August. I think September or between August and September apple. And those those oranges, you have to order them literally like a year in advance. kabla zitoke.
Wow, they're so high on demand like
Yes,
that.
because the juice that comes out, uliza watu wanakulaga hizo orange na fresh squeeze for fresh squeeze juice.
Now I'm gonna
out
go
of
try them.
Machakos.
Yeah.
Those things are off the chain, but it doesn't necessarily mean that whoever has them is a large scale farmer, right? You could still be a small scale, right? Mtu wa avocado unaweza kuwa unafanya avocado lakini uko low scale.
Majority of farmers in most villages are small scale
They're
farmers.
small scale farmers.
Yeah, but again, if we're trying to do this to push the narrative a certain way where I'm getting rid of my competition because they can't afford even to get the licensing, pay for licensing,
pay attention.
and then get these guys to come in.
Pay attention to what Mika was saying.
Listen, you're looking at it from a smaller picture.
Okay.
Right? If your bread and butter cannot sustain you, your land becomes useless to you. That makes your land cheaper for me to come and buy. So if I'm multinational and I know a certain area is good for apples,
Correct.
and apples are on high demand in other countries, right? Because this one covers everything. It covers from production up to exportation.
Correct.
That bill, right? So when I come and buy these farms cheap from people and start doing the farming myself, because the most important commodity here is the farm for farming those products.
The land,
So take away the small scale farmer, you become the main person who does everything. You'll hire these farmers to work on your land, work for you, export it, and you control the whole thing. That's basically what this bill does.
So sad.
Now, you have to remember, GMOs were allowed in Kenya. Are you guys now getting the drift of where this is going?
Civic education, people.
GMOs were allowed in Kenya, and it wasn't too long ago. I can't remember how long it was, but it was during this same. I think it was during Ruto's.
It was last.
It was during Ruto's time.
No,
I think it was during the first finance bill. But I think people can verify that. Can just fact check us on that.
Check, yes.
Yeah, but GMOs. But what we know factually
that would have been the 23 finance bill.
Is that GMOs have been allowed. So now try to connect what's happening here. Now with this bill, where they're making it very difficult, and that's why Sabina Chege, she has to come and talk to us.
She's Jubilee Party, by the way.
Jubilee was Azimio.
Yes.
Yeah, Jubilee.
Azimio, you're right.
Yeah. So she needs to come and talk to us. Otherwise, we'll send our Gen Zs to go salimia her, because with GMOs allowed, it means all these big food manufacturers, all these big people who want to bring certain seeds,
organic
to
seed
Kenya.
banks at UNEP.
Yes,
I think I saw something like that.
Yeah, so now the idea is start slowly getting rid of these small scale farmers, because these small scale farmers they do a lot, like in terms of like even when you're driving and going to shags, all these people who come to your window selling fruits, those come from small scale farmers. Yeah, those come from small scale farmers.
One Mike's guys who can stones inside the canini for potatoes.
Those ones too. They're crafty.
Now wanachezaga. Have you ushaona vile hizo waru zimepangwa?
Waru is life.
Zinapangwa half, alafu ile half ingine zero.
Yeah, na unadiscover kuna mawe huko chini ukifika home.
Na hata saa zingine hata wacha hiyo mawe, unajua ni vile hao wanaipanga ni ile kubwa wagamewekwa, alafu then it's a stack, it's been made in like a pyramid.
Kwanza they weka the perfect ones on top.
Yes. So unaicheki unasema mazii, and then when the thing is weka shwa. Kwa ile kabag kako unasema.
Yeah, so those come from small scale farmers. So
it's one Mike.
Wachana na cousins wakina one Mike. A lot of them are genuine. There's a couple of unscrupulous ones, but a lot of those people who do that business are very genuine. Wanakuzia ndizi, machungwa. So now these fruits that we enjoy, you see, the way you enjoy fruits when you go back home, like I know Esther Mulusa right now is enjoying those fruits
like a nonsense
in Chimalavandu, which we can't enjoy here because everything here tastes like it's flat. It tastes like plastic. So now with these GMOs coming in, we'll not be able to enjoy. Once you get rid of these small scale farmers, come in GMO, then there's a problem. Remember who's already in Kenya? Purdue Chicken. Purdue Chicken.
Since when?
Purdue Chicken has been in Kenya.
Kumare.
Yes, Purdue Chicken is in Kenya. So now even the small scale farmers who who sell who like raise chicken, they're also at risk. They're also at risk,
because it's a trickle-down effect.
Walikatazwa kuingia Tanzania, but on the Tanganyika side, on the mainland island, Zanzibar, because part of what Zanzibar's authority on is on agriculture. So huko walikubaliwa kuingia. So now, for those who like going to Zanzibar, I know the ladies here, like going for trips. They're in this lady groups that organize trips. Yeah, some of the chicken that you're eating now at Forodhani
is Padu.
Believe it or not, is Padu chicken. And I have family that lives there, and they tell me, like the people who are selling the chicken there, and they have very good foods at Forodhani. They prefer Padu chicken. You know why? Because it's bigger.
Imepigwa kala ka inject.
Yes, because it's bigger. So now
it's a wrap.
There are so many. This horticultural bill is just but one. There are so many other things that are happening behind closed doors that we need to bring them to light.
And guess what? We are being distracted by Gachagua impeachment.
Yes, of course. I mean, it's a big issue now. We have to talk about it because it's happening.
But it's a double-edged sword, like Mika said. You know what? We have to learn
this one is
we
a
have to know.
triple-edged. This one is
we
triple-edged.
have to know.
Yeah, because now you see when these multinationals, when they take over, like our food production, and when they take over our healthcare system with SHA, we are done.
It's a wrap.
We are completely done. Like we can't say anything.
Ketrako.
You remember when Gachagua used to campaign and say state capture?
Yes.
State capture. But they kumbe wao ndo walikuwa capturers.
This is now a multinational capture.
So what is he now? Captured or capchi?
No. Now you see
Capture
the ruling class, they benefit from this because they get paid.
They get
Correct.
paid. They get
paid big time.
Yes.
Yeah. These bills, by the way, that are being passed, even when you look at the way they've been written, they're not written by these members of parliament. These members of parliament, for lack of better, most of them, ni wajinga, like they can't even express themselves. So when you read those bills, you can clearly tell there's an external force. So they just try to find, a member of parliament maybe who's looking to have a bill on their name. But Sabina Chege is a very smart lady. She needs to come and explain to us who are the sponsors of this horticultural bill.
Simple.
Where did it come from? And I don't know if there's been public participation on it. There was another one that was called the livestock bill.
That goes back to what? Mugambi was talking about. Public participation and the Public Participation Act.
Yes, there was another one called the livestock bill.
I heard about that.
Yeah, which was doing the same thing now with livestock. We're trying to get them out of the way very soon.
Where you had to register your chicken.
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
Mutina pia ilikuwa na
Remember Hila was here on the show telling us about his goods.
Yeah. Yeah, so
one mic, imagine shosho yako ana register Mutina.
Digivia, please.
No, but that was the bill wanted. You have to say, I have 4 Mutinas in the homestead. Nazikizao unaenda na register puppies.
And by the way, and here's the thing again, and that is why it is important for people. Again, please, people, talk to your people. Constitution lazima musome. Do not be distracted.
Yeah, it's sad.
Because remember,
it is so
we are
so sad. You're right.
Tied.
Yeah.
Yes.
To pende to see pende. We've got family, we've got relatives, kids, your grandma, your
and as
grandpa.
the diaspora, we have a heck of a voice.
We have
a heck of a voice. These guys have no choice but
huge
to
voice.
listen to us.
Right now,
wacha nimwambie maze ni madhawadhanio.
Right now, like Omosh likes talking about cousins wako, but you know what Omosh cousins are doing? in Lake Victoria.
They are importing fish from China.
They are selling you fish from China.
Yes.
Wanaweka hapo karibu na Lake Victoria, wanakwambia hii imetoka, kwa nini?
Hata mukisema ni cousin. Me I know
cousins zako.
Me I know my cousins actually do have fish farm and it comes from the cages within the lake. Sasa hao wengine wanasema sijui ni kina nani.
No, but emotionally saying it's true.
Jembe,
The thing
yes.
is this,
But no, but he's right. He's
Yes.
actually right. Yes.
they are refrigerated 18-wheelers that
Yes.
go to Kisumu daily.
You're right.
They may be frozen fish from China. And that is quite sad because the thing is, and I will blame this going back to Kenyatta's government because fisheries was supposed to be created near the water basins.
Yep.
But the guy built a fishery in
Lake Basin
Thika.
Authority.
Yeah, he built it in Thika. So transportation of fish from there, and that is how the fishing industry just died.
And by the way,
It was not sustainable in Kenya. So and after that,
There was a couple of
we've
people
seen
who
the water
tried, but they
hyacinth
couldn't.
And
but
Yeah,
Mika,
Hyacinth
Mika,
messed us up,
siku likuwa Kibaso alituonesha video one time. There was supposed to be a fisheries project that was supposed to be started up in Kisumu.
Yeah.
They are working on them.
You-
They're working. I mean,
Si pesa
It
zilikuwa
was
zimetengwa.
At least it was
again,
launched.
it was launched.
Again, here's the thing that, like I say, they're
Was it
working on
launched?
them. I know growing up.
Was it launched?
I don't know about that one.
It was launched.
I don't know about that one.
It was.
And
on-
if it was launched and
one
they've not
mic
followed
ndo
up, they
tunatoka
need to.
tunakwambia
Mimi sijui. Me, I can just tell you that growing up, back in the day, what Mika was saying is that, there were people who were doing, of course, the transportation and stuff like that. So there were some Wahindis in Kisumu who had a huge plant. They would buy fish, they would process, but guess where that fish was going? Locally, we were not consuming it. They were
Nairobi?
exporting it to Israel.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh, okay,
They were
interesting.
and it was in filet. Yani wanachukua samaki, imekuja wakaikata, imekwa filet, and
Processed.
then
Actually,
then
actually
they even flash
the
freeze
locals
it.
used
You know
the
the way
locals
they
used
go ahead, Mika.
the locals used to consume it in a term called mugongoazi.
What is
yeah,
Gachagua'S?
it's bila bones.
So mugongoazi is when the fish has been filleted.
Yes.
Okay.
Bila bones.
That's
Aye.
carcass.
Okay. Miba yote imetolewa.
Yeah,
The part that they're not using.
Yeah.
So, there's a part they don't use.
Yeah.
Filet imetolewa, filet imeenda kuuzwa.
Oh,
The
damn.
carcass
Okay.
are supposed to be discarded, hiyo ndio ilikuwa inauzwa watu
Locally.
inatoka mgongoazi inamekiwa it's a poor man's food. Hiyo ni struggle
Yep.
food.
Wow. So that tells you
Nika-
the
so,
quality.
ni example ya hii tukirudi coast. Remember all the fisheries in coast, what were the locals eating? Kiboma,
No, that's true.
right? Which
No.
kiboma ni scraps zile zimebaki after wameshafile wameprocess the fishes. Kiboma silikuyo ni yenye imebaki, hiyo ndio watu wanapewa kukula sasa.
Yeah. So
So
cost.
the locals were actually eating the trash from the factories.
Yeah.
So now cost, unless kuna watu wanajua wavuvi. If you know the fishermen, you can have a direct contact with them. And then if you go now to the deeper part, sasa ukiingia huko ndani sasa, now not even Mombasa, now Kilifi County umeingia Malindi, umeenda past Malindi, huko you'll get some of the best octopus, anything that you
100.
want.
AKA pweza.
Yes, you'll get it on that side.
I know for a
Yeah,
fact.
but now
Almost.
you see, yeah,
I know that
and of course Unomai could also know that.
Yes,
He's been around that area a lot. You'd get a lot of it. But now what this tells you is that we have very good quality fish.
Yes, we do.
Both freshwater,
And-
Lake
and
Victoria,
sea.
Yes.
and at the sea.
Yes.
We just don't have a proper way of monetizing it to benefit, like the people who are fishing it direct. The people who are fishing it direct are not profiting, just like coffee growers, and just like many other people who engage in so many activities. We have not figured out a way, or I think the system we have is the people who are in control are profiting from having these other people grab this stuff from us and go away. Now you have the Chinese bringing their poor quality fish to the lake. It's like bringing sand.
Yeah.
It's like building. It's like
And then they sell it cheaper.
ni kama kuleta
They sell it
changarawe,
cheaper,
like that sand that's used for building, bring it to a beach.
But
And
then the
trying
funny
to-
thing is that hiyo samaki ya China inakulwa Kisumu, alafu samaki ya Kisumu inakulwa Nairobi.
Correct.
Atia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Wait.
Because in Nairobi it will fetch a higher price.
Kwa sababu Nairobi is going to be expensive.
Yes.
It will fetch a
Inakuja
higher
kuuzwa
price,
nini?
yeah.
Alafu sasa Kisumu hii ya China inauzwa cheap, unafikiri inauzwa cheap juu imeshikwa hapo.
No, it's Chinese, yeah. It's Chinese. So a lot of people, especially visitors, wale hawajui, kuna wale wenyeji.
Yeah,
wanajua.
watu wanajua. Ukienda hata ukienda hapo kwa beach, ukienda hapo Nyalenda, ukienda hapo Nyalenda beach hapo, ukienda hapo kukula fish. Like ule madhe anakuangalianga hivi, anajuanga ni nini unataka. Na by the way, acha kwambie samaki ya 1000 ni kubwa, tunaweza kula sisi hapa na
Yes.
kumaliza.
All of us. And now we won't finish it. It's big.
Like from the
It's
lake.
big,
It's as big
like
as
it
our
is
hand.
Like from
like
the
this.
Yeah.
That's
From the
how.
lake.
As our-
Ukiangalia,
Yes.
Yeah.
The fish is as big as
Fresh.
yes.
See ile ya China.
No.
So,
Thao boss.
no, kuna ya China na kuna ya Kisumu. So, ukiangalia onyi wa kawaida, ukiangalia samaki yake ya Thao imenona kushinda yako. Jueni mgeni.
Yeah, there's
So they can tell.
and if you eat fish
Yeah.
from my
Na
shacks,
kama umeweza kukula fish,
you will never go eat that fish huko. Haki ya Mungu, you won't. You go direct.
Like,
We are coming
You
to
go
your,
direct.
We are coming to your shacks, by the way.
Okay,
That's
I
I go
just
shags
like-
with 2 coolers every December and I come back with 70 fish. Always.
Okay,
Utajua ujui. Aya,
wacha tusome
read these
comments
comments,
hapa.
boss.
So Kenya Njui hapa tulikuwa tujasoma comment yake na wala anasema Omosh, kwani Kilimanjaro studio does not have a HR department. Those comments about your hair and looks constitute a toxic work environment. I don't know
I'm
that
with
Tabitha
you.
is here.
Kenyanju, I'm with you. Now, in fact, our HR representative had just stepped out, but I will be lodging a complaint forthwith.
Okay.
HR pia anafaa kutengeneza matuta zake zimecheka.
Alafu Esther Mulusa anasema Luyaland has a dearth of women politicians. We don't have a single female MP. That's something I didn't know. Governor or senator. We only get nominated senators. Our traditions get in the way. Then Dorin Florence anasema Sabina Chege is Jubilee Party, which is Azimio. And then Gerald Oliech anasema when Ruto was visiting us Hapa States, what deals did you all think was signed up with and for our country? We were given a veil of bilateral trade, but the real deals were done kando. And then Hapa Esther says,
John Deere.
that's true. Food in Kenya is delicious. It's time to return to America. I am devastated at the thought of leaving Kenya. Okay, so Esther, we are waiting for you, and hopefully you will make your way to Kilimanjaro Studios when you come to America. And then Gerald Oliech says, Cargill is also about to hit Kenya.
Who are Cargill?
Tell
Those
us
are
more
grill
about
guys.
Cargill. Cargill, I think,
Those are grilling guys. I mean, they have a grilling.
ama sijui kama ni watu wa pesticide. Tell us more, Gerald, tell us more about Cargill. And then Esther Mulusa says food colonialism all over again.
Yes.
And then hapa Washeke is accusing me of sounding kama anaugua Mviko. I think you meant, is it Mviko ama ni Uviko?
Let's go with it.
Yeah. Okay, sawa
19.
sawa.
Hiyo ni COVID-19.
COVID-19. Kama niko na COVID, kila mtu hapa amepata COVID. So hatujui kama tutakuwa na show next week. But yeah, nimeng'ang'ana. Unaona sasa, that's why all of you should download your Lemfi app, you know, so that we make sure that we have sick time. Tuwe na PTO. Sasa kukama leo, mimi ni mgonjwa, I demand, you know, like the finance guy Omosh ananilipa na sikuji kazini. Cargill is a family-owned company that produces, distributes, and sells food, agricultural products, and industrial goods. The company was founded in 1865 by William Wallace Cargill. So yes, so those guys.
And how
are
many
coming to
countries
Kenya.
are they in?
They are, and is headquartered in Minnesota. It has over 155,000 employees in 70 countries. So yeah, habari ndio hiyo.
Kenya is about to be 71. Carry on.
Yeah, and then let me see hapa. Gerald anasema guys are aware that Israel
Are we
has-
aware?
are we aware that Israel has some shores of Nyanza? Well, new to me. Tell us more, Gerald. And then find out the transport company that hauls the fish from Nyanza to JKIA to Israel.
Hapa tunapewa vidokezo, boss.
Gerald ana vidokezo.
Anatupatia vidokezo.
Give us the details.
Mi najua Wahindi ndio walikuwa na hiyo factory. The only way I knew about it was because I was a beneficiary in the 80s.
Somebody talk about beneficiary.
About that filet.
Yeah.
Tulikuwa tuna nyumba. Hiyo file ilikuwa inaletwa kwa nyumba, you know, zile vitu waga zinakuja delivery. Unajua zile delivery ujui pale imetoka pale, lakini imeingia
tu.
And it was still packaged na hiyo package ya nini? Ya Israel. In fact, even written in
Hebrew.
In Hebrew. Yes.
And
then they would package it and they would say made in Israel or found in Israel. Because everything. So who kujua hiyo
samaki imetoka? So they would say found in Israel imetoka huku.
Yes.
Hey, okay.
Boss, nakwambia kuna vitu zingine waga zinafanya. It's almost like the EPZ zone. See, even though that says Kenya. Sindio? Iyo back then was not
but
saying
80s
that.
I can understand because
it was not
because
saying
Moi
that
had a very good relationship with the Zionist government.
I'm telling you, yes, because kumbuka, one of his partners was Israeli.
Yes.
Ule wayaya.
I know. Biwott was also married to an Israeli wife.
So nyumba zetu za Doni. Nyumba zetu za Donholm, watu tumeishi Donholm, zilimekiwa na Waisraeli.
Ile HZ company.
Yeah, it was made by the Israel. Alafu, the design near nyumba za Donholm, if you have realized, they were the only houses in Kenya that had this flat roof that was designed for garden roofs.
Oh,
they were waterproof. Na kumbe tulikuwa tunafunika drainage alafu tunaweka fish hapo juu. So what you're supposed to do is like design yao na Israel ilikuwa ni you build the house, ile mchanga ya nyumba ndio unaweka hapo juu, you farm on top of the house. Because hata tank zetu za maji, the way they had like a tap where you could do an irrigation scheme from it.
Where?
Like nyumba za hakuna estate imetengenezwa Nairobi mzima kama Donholm. It was a different concept from everything.
Interesting things we are finding out. Hapa Gerald anasema Cargill and Purdue ni kama competitors. And then Doreen Florence is asking, does Kilimanjaro Studios have a 2/3 gender rule? Hiyo hapo acha tuta.
Our constitution has not been
it has not been constituted. Our constitution has not been constituted.
And we don't have IBC looking anywhere near in the future.
And so this is not a Kenyan constitution.
As things are going, na vile inaenda,
we are ruling ourselves.
Yes. And that gender can be 8/3.
But Ama
she wants to come.
No,
Doreen,
maybe.
Kuja.
But we are taking applications.
Kuja,
so
Doreen.
Yeah, she can apply.
Waacha maswali mengi. Kuja studio.
She can apply.
Kuja studio.
And not apply. Applying is coming here, sitting right
Akuja
here.
Kaya hapo kwa hiyo kiti.
In fact.
Bas Doreen umesikia.
Acha niweke video.
Yeah.
Doreen. Oka.
Na ukuje na checkbook.
Akuja na checkbook.
Sungu Munga mwambia download Lemfi.
Yes. Doreen, by the way, bado tuko na list ya watu wamedownload. Doreen, we bado huja download. So click your link.
Hiyo Lemfi is download kama fana download, lakini kama nataka kubalance gender kuja na checkbook.
Yes. Not only you download but you spread it to your friends.
Now, somebody over here sent me a text. I have to read this. My guy, is this different than how things have always been? Top tier coffee and tea always used to be exported because it would fetch more on the international market.
Correct.
The coffee that we used to drink in Kenya wasn't the top
Even
scale.
the tea. It was the pits.
But now it only used to be cash crops. But now they are going for other crops that were not cash crops.
Even the so-called low-hanging fruit.
Yes, because cash crops, it wasn't, like a lot of farmers who are growing cash crops. But now when you're going for avocados, you're going for oranges, you're going for fruits and vegetables.
Horticulture wanaendea kila kitu mpaka mboga ya kienyeji.
Yes.
Basically everything that you grow.
Yeah.
Even a small kitchen garden hapo kando yako.
Osuga.
And that is why it is important for people to participate. And that is why you have, listen, if you don't even engage your peoples in Kenya, because, mom, shosho, kuka, wherever they are.
So what constitutes a small scale? Is it mutule wa 100 by 100, 50 by 100? an eighth.
Majority, anyone you know was a small farm. Anyone
Do you understand
see.
what I'm saying? Because
majority.
hata tuseme mimi na ile nini, what do you call that land of mine at home?
Gani you hapo?
My land in Ocha, what do you call it?
Dead capital.
Dead
capital.
Kule dead capital,
Yeah.
muaga na caretaker, na
Yeah.
caretaker akona watoi mob.
Yeah.
So pia amepewa
Ana
mahali.
shamba yake.
Amepewa
Where
mahali
grows
at
his
least
own, yeah.
correct, so that what's coming out of my pocket is less.
Yes.
You understand? So he can grow traditional veggies, pawpaw, fruits, nini plus
Mahindi tuwake na
mahindi. And then the good thing about mahindi,
nini njugu.
yes, if he gets a couple of bags,
If he gets surplus, he can sell.
no ni yake
No, yake ya kukula,
because you
njugu,
know what you do
maragwe.
na mahindi
Yeah.
unaitoa and then you weka kwa bag, and the bag is nini is I don't know, they medicate it. Mika, I don't know what they do with that bag, hiyo gunia, and then you keep and what you do is you siaga as you use. So you
grind
siaga
the
for
maize,
the
you
week,
just
you
grind the
grind for
maize
the week, or
properly.
you grind.
So you can use it
Yes,
for a long time.
Correct. And remember, hiyo mahindi uwaga ni uji na ni ugali,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
And then pia ni nyoyo or githeri,
Yeah.
right? So it stretches and goes a long way.
Wow.
Alafu akipanda mahindi anapanda mahindi na maragwe.
Correct.
So akiharvest 2 bags of mahindi na harvest 2 bags of maragwe.
Yep.
Hapo ushamsort hivyo. So vitu wananunua ni vitu kama unga ya chapati,
Yes.
michele.
Yes.
Okay, so
Unaona?
extras, yeah.
But then nyanya, vitunguu, everything anapandia hapo kando. Sukuma,
Yeah, by the way.
mboga za kienyeji
Yep,
anapandia
all of
hapo
that,
kando.
yes.
Boss, my show.
And under the horticultural bill, he will need a license.
My show.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
She
The
grew
most-
her own food.
My friend.
Is
The
there
only-
anything you guys bought? Maybe bread is
No.
all you bought.
Maybe
right?
bread,
Mkate.
Yeah.
maybe mogate,
Yeah.
maybe.
Sukari,
Yeah.
majani.
Even sugar would come from her children maybe living in the
Yeah.
city. They bring sugar.
Then it was never a priority.
Bogate, but
Yeah.
guess what? Doma ziko hapo. Unamka.
Yeah.
Milk straight from the cow.
Yep.
Inaekwa pale.
Ka-
The only thing
That
that
is
she
what
needed was sugar. Anaeka.
Yeah.
Una enjoy mahindi, bananas, beans, whatever you wanted. Farm.
You just go and you pick
You
for
just go
that day
pick.
and you make. Yeah.
Kitunguu,
Yep.
dania.
Hiyo ndo nilikuwa naambia Ali.
The so-called
siku
kitchen
atakuja
garden.
kutembea,
Kitchen garden iko
atakula
hapo.
Mika.
That's what I was telling Ali, that the day he comes to visit the dead capital, atakula breakfast. Yote imetoka kwa dead capital. Yote.
Okay. Hiyo
None
dead
has
capital
been bought.
tunakuja.
So
Yeah.
I think it is important. Again, you know, I'm thinking we are educating a lot of people right now, and we are letting people know, like, in
It's
terms of
opening their
agriculture,
minds, because you know these things, we see them in sharks and you take them for granted, but you're falling within this box.
and your parents, shosho, kuka, your
Yes.
peoples, your persons, or whatever. That bill
You know,
that by
Basically, what people need to understand
Sabina
is this.
Chege, ni madogodhanio.
Your mama mboga will disappear,
Yes.
right? Because there'll be no more marikiti.
Oof, okay. This
Think
is,
about
this is
that.
scary.
Yeah.
This is
Marikiti
scary.
haiko.
Yes.
So
So
hata kama
there'll be
wanaenda
no more
supermarket.
marikiti because there'll be no everything will have to everybody will, because for these multinationals to track how they're reaching to the last consumer, they need one central place to sell, which is grocery stores.
Grocery
right?
stores, Naivas, wherever comes up.
And hata pia kina
Or they
Naivas
start their own
watakuwa-
Carrefour.
watakuja waambiwe again. So ndio naona mama mbogo wako atapotea. Number one, mama mbogo wako akipotea, mtu wa kibanda atapotea. Kwa mtu wa kibanda sasa itabidi pia anaenda kusource expensively, wewe anafaa kusource.
Kwisha.
Huyo pia anaenda kupotea. So hiyo inamaanisha cost of living inaenda high kwa sababu your cost of grocery is going to be high.
Yeah.
Alafu guess what? Cost of food itakuwa dictated by one person. So bei ya chakula itakuwa inakontroliwa across the whole country. Hakuna vile unasemanga saa hii nimelemewa, nikienda Ocha kuna mvua naweza chukua chakula nikuje nayo, hiyo itakuwa imeisha.
Yeah, because you can't. And those also the people along the way, you know, the ones that Ali was talking about,
Yeah.
the fruit,
Hao pia
they're
wanapotea.
they're all gone.
Oof.
Hizo
This is scary.
vitunguu, matunda, maembe,
Plums gone.
oranges.
Zile, all those things, you know, before you even ingia mahima, all those
That is a
as you
hustle.
drive, gone.
That
Yote,
is a hustle that
zero.
you're killing a
Alafu
hustle for somebody.
ushago sasa where it's gonna bite is gonna be ushago, kwa sababu ushago whereby these people used to, hata kama na survive na pesa kidogo, but shamba ina
Kitchen
carry
garden,
most of the
yes.
burden.
Mhm.
Most of them will have to go work for these other people. So for them, again, it becomes a point of where most of their salary is buying what they were
Consume.
producing
Yeah.
for free.
Because you think about it, many people here, when we travel, watu wanaendanga wapi? Si Naivas?
Yeah.
What?
Carrefour.
No, I know that's what people yeah.
Over here. No. When you I'm talking about guys in the summer
Diaspora.
Guys
bunnies,
from the
winter
diaspora,
bunnies,
yeah,
when they
summer
go.
bunnies, yeah.
Unaenda unanunua whatever, they
Yeah.
go to Naivas, whatever.
Yeah, the
You
supermarket.
don't
and
go,
yeah.
not many people are gonna go to Mama Mboga. Ni wangapi wetu hapa tumezoea kwenda kwa Mama Mboga hapa?
So for me, I personally think because mimi nikienda home, yani chakula, I'm not the one who's going grocery shop.
Kupika.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
So you don't know.
But
I-
unaona kama
yes.
kwetu tuko na like a house help who comes from Kibra.
Yes.
Or she's the one who does all
Yes.
the
But,
vegetable
and you know
chopping.
she picks
Yeah,
those
na
things
mambo na zake.
and pick
Where is
on
she
the
picking
way.
them up from?
She picks
Yeah.
them on the way. She doesn't go to Kina Naivas and all
No,
those
she
places.
doesn't. Yeah.
Yes.
And
She
it's
doesn't,
sort
yeah.
on the
So
way
your
from her
source
people.
done.
who
Yeah,
are-
so by
who
the
are
way,
coming.
yeah, she's very honest, anatuonyesha hata kule anazitoa. We would not even go negotiate ourselves because si tukienda huko tuonekane.
Exactly.
You can't.
Na
Yeah.
hiyo waga nakujaga na juala, even though juala is banned.
No, I know.
Because
I know.
they're
Yeah,
not
by the way. And you know, by the way, ghetto ni different. Anatuambia hizi vitu ziko huko kwetu.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ile juala
Yeah.
ya black.
Yeah, iko.
Wako nayo, yeah.
So again, that's an existence, or that is
A whole ecological
a whole
system that's gone.
is gonna be gone.
It's gonna be gone, and a lot of people economically
Yes.
rely on that ecosystem existing.
And here's the problem.
Sana, unajua marikiti imeshikilia percentage ngapi
Like
ya
a
Nairobi?
nonsense. And by the way, the problem is all these decisions are being made by people that we voted for.
And that's why
Let that sink in.
To enrich there.
And that's why
Pockets.
Everybody who thinks that there's just too much noise going on, this is not affecting me, this is exactly
Utajua ujui.
what is gonna happen.
Yes.
So now, like the horticultural bill, that's just one of the things that's been happening in the backdrop,
Yeah.
and being clouded out by the noise from the impeachment of Deputy President. We also have abductions of Kenyan citizens. This is another big deal that I think we need to be shouting on rooftops, but ni kama imenyamaziwa, but people are still being abducted. People are still missing. You know, we had the recent case of Bob Njagi,
Yes.
an activist who was abducted, and he had originally highlighted concerns about state security and human rights violations. So I don't know. You listen to his interview on Spice.
What I
And
found
even Nani was
interesting-
released juicy. What's the other guy? When what's his name? Somebody.
Are you talking about the brothers that were released with him?
No. Ujama, who has hair like he has cornrows, Nini, and he was on JK Live.
Oh, you're talking about Shadrach, was his name? Was his name
was
Shad
it
Shad something? Yeah.
Shad something.
Yeah, I can't
Was it
remember.
him?
his
Was
name.
released?
Huyo alishikwa kitambo.
Yeye alikuwa
huyo,
kitambo
hapa
huyo.
kidogo.
Kwa
Was it him
kitambo.
who had, no kuna juzi kuna mwingine somebody, was it somebody Rona or somebody was just released?
Rona
Rona was abducted. Well, he was forcefully taken
Rono
away.
Yes.
Rono alichukuliwa the same day na Morara.
Na Morara. We don't know if he has been released.
No,
I
he was
don't know.
released.
Okay, so
He was released.
Yeah.
no,
he
what I
was
was gonna
released.
say was when
Alichukuliwa siku ya impeachment. Actually.
what was funny and what was interesting was when Bob was being interviewed on Spice.
I think
But
it's,
prior to that, he had given out a statement. He had a 14-minute.
they
had
sat down and had
sat
a
down,
presser, yeah.
Traumatized, but then he came back on Spice.
Yeah.
Traumatized, bado. I did not know that he worked for ODM for 9 years.
For 9 years, yes.
yeah.
And he had a very high position, by the way.
High.
Very, very high position.
9 years.
Yes.
But
He
When-
had to step away. Yeah. I think
and I remember that footage. Because he's a guy of patch.
He's a Pacherian.
He's a Pacherian,
That's a Pacherian I respect.
and his class of
Si wana
95.
mic.
Achana na kina wana Mike.
wewe Mika unachocha. Unasikia vile anachomanga. But it is how. But what was interesting was when when he was, because the guy played rugby. He had a big brother who was, I think, class of 92. Jaggy, rugby guys, huge guys. So when I'm saying, I'm like, Bob, I know this guy. So when he was, so there was footage of him being chukuliwad.
Correct.
And it was even being said that cops had said, don't record or whatever. But there's somebody who was
was able to penya. A
penya,
couple of people are able to penya and get
got footage
the footage. Yes.
Of him saying, well, you know how they come because of their mask. They come and say, umebeba gun, chukua, wacha.
You know, it's interesting
because I think he was picked up from Mama 3.
He was picked up from Mama 3. 32 days.
That's a long time.
Handcuffed.
So
I don't even understand how he was eating.
He was eating 1 meal a day.
So they wouldn't cuff him time ya kula.
No, maybe I think in a cuff zake zilikuwa hivi.
Zilikuwa mbele.
So you can navigate. Whatever unaletewa.
Kikombe chai and 1 plate of food, and that's it.
Now how do you pee?
He said, and then there was a bucket.
Yeah, but I'm saying even negotiating with this guy, they
would empty the bucket once a day.
But how would you pee and how would you do number 2?
Shauri yako
Ujipange, boss.
See, when in prisoner of war.
And these are...
I can't believe we're talking about this in 2024.
Yes, and this is after it has been declared that no more abductions, no more.
Yeah, that interview.
No more.
Yeah. We have a bigger
2024.
problem.
Yes, we do.
Which means that... No, let me finish. So, which means that not only are they continuing, but there's a distraction. Because, you know, like now, this thing is not garnering any press. And again, and this is where, like, you know, sometimes I think Nile dangling of the carrot, then the carrot swings one way and guys are being told, you know, Gachagua, whatever. Huku kwingine, tunafanywa vitu, we are being abused, tunachapwa nyahunyo, but we're not feeling it because guess what? We are hypnotized.
By this one thing that's going on.
By this thing that has nothing. Gachagua will never have, you know, the way things go. He's not gonna sleep hungry.
He'll be okay.
He's not gonna sleep homeless or without a roof over his head.
Gachagua'S,
his kids already
they're sorted.
They're sorted.
Gachagua'S children will never suffer.
Watoto wa Boniface Mwangi, watoto wa Bob Njagi, Morara. These guys.
Morara has trauma.
He has trauma.
He needs a full-time.
He has trauma.
He needs full-time
Let's
psychological
agree, he has got
help.
trauma. But
yes,
guess what?
Does.
But that is a guy who, at 28, I respect.
We have to, you know, like the people who are willing to put themselves in the front of the line. I think a problem we have is you're always looking for the speck in the eye of someone who's putting himself in the front line. All of us have a speck in the eye. So now that's why
got logs.
That's why I get very mad at people who are constantly trying to pick faults because there's none of us who doesn't have a fault in them. But now these people are like, you know what? We have a problem. I'm willing to take the step forward. And what they're telling us, they're not telling us necessarily at Ikujapa, you take the hit with me. You from where you are hidden, just do this small thing, do that small thing. That's all they're asking for.
Let me tell you something, Ali. And somebody brought this up. And I've started thinking differently. I think some of these guys who are looking for the logs are those planted moles, planted to
spread a certain narrative.
Yes.
To spread a certain, so that people start talking about that.
Itumbi.
Yes.
And his ilk.
Yeah, and of course they have a lot of pseudo accounts that they use.
Of course. And that is why I think at some point you're like, and I think I told somebody, I don't care what Morara is doing, because you know what? He's 28. He is young. He is doing something that most of those and most of us probably at some point in our lives right now we have the courage, we can talk about it. Bob is somebody who who saw something that was bad is in Kenya and has gone through madhogodhanio while in Kenya, a father of 4. Actually, his last born child was born while he was in detention, when he was kidnapped.
This is
Let that sink in.
yes. This
His
is
youngest
very sad.
daughter,
This is very sad.
when he was handcuffed and whatever, alizaliwa akiwa wapi?
And this is where I think
Come on.
we now have to start being creative, because our representatives have been captured.
No, they've been bought.
They've been bought.
It's a wrap.
All of them.
That whole August house, whatever you call that house,
Remember,
they are sellouts.
on the Spice interview, Bob Njagi talked about something that I found quite interesting, to have assemblies across all wards in Kenya.
I was actually going to bring that up. Not
Yes.
only his assemblies, but also the way they were talking about, if Ali is going to stand,
Yeah.
Ali, you stand with a mama, a person with disability, or something such that you fulfill
Or all the obligations.
that is it.
Yeah.
Which I found very interesting. by
It's
the way.
very interesting.
Very
A
interesting.
bit far-fetched, just based on where we are and the way, like business is done, but a very interesting idea.
It is, because guess what? You check all the boxes
Yeah.
of what is required of the Constitution.
Yeah, but what I liked about the constituent assemblies that he was talking about is that easy bills, we have a more formal way of dealing with it.
Yes.
So
yes,
a
I
bill
had
is
that.
done. A bill is done in Parliament.
Right.
It's brought down all
Uh-huh.
the way, maybe even by the MCA to these assemblies, and people discuss it there.
Yes.
People discuss it there, and then those views are taken by the MCA, by the different MCAs in the constituencies to the MP. Sasa easy up and views are what our constituencies that's captured in a quantifiable way, that the MP can tell people in my constituency, they like this bill or they don't like this bill. Now, I'll give an example. Remember Joe Manchin, the West Virginia,
Yes.
West Virginia senator for West Virginia.
Yes.
So he had to vote with the Republicans a lot of times, although he was a Democrat, because the state he comes from
Is majority
if
Republican.
he doesn't
yes.
do that, they'll vote him
Atachujwa.
out. But they're still voting him out.
Yes.
Anyway, they're still voting him
So he
out.
became independent, or he said he's not running anymore.
No,
Whatever.
he's not running anymore.
Yeah.
He tried to flirt with the idea of running for president, but it didn't quite work.
And
But,
Gachagua'S slaps.
but in Congress especially, forget about Senate, in Congress especially, you will find those, like Congress persons who are in district of an opposite party. You'll see even their party allows them. We understand that you have to vote this way because of the district that you're in. So if you come from a district that has defense contractors who are employing 70% of the people in that district, and then you're on a party that's voting against those defense contractors, your party will tell you that wakitakana watakwambia, boss, you go vote for that, go vote with the Republicans, because if you don't, you're gonna lose your seat. So in America we see, I mean, there's also some version of capture of the political system, but
Right.
but still
There is capture.
but still the Congress persons are still also very liable to what's being said in their districts. They're constantly going back to do town halls,
But
and to
back
figure out
then-
what people are saying.
But back then, yes. But now, it's what Trump says.
No, I mean within the Republican Party, yes.
That's what Trump says.
But then, if it's what Trump says, if you're in a Democrat district, then you have to go against what Trump, because that's how Governor Hogan won governorship in Maryland. He was against Trump, even when everybody was shouting Trump, Trump, Trump.
Yeah, because this
Yeah.
place is 74%
Exactly,
Democrat.
but that's how he won the governorship. I mean,
Yes.
right now he's vying
For Senate.
for Senate
yeah.
against also Brooks. He'll most likely not win, but he was able to win the Maryland governorship for 2 terms because he,
by a landslide. Well,
Yeah.
but he won by a lot.
Yeah, he won.
He won by a lot.
He won squarely.
Yes.
and
deadly.
and the Democrats also had some very weak candidates. Like who ran against him both in the first election
And the second.
and also in the
of
second
course,
election.
of
Yeah.
course.
So that's where we are trying to see if we can get to a point where these MPs are going to become responsive to us, which goes back again to IEBC. IEBC needs to be reconstituted, and for
That
MPs
is a
to be
magic
recalled.
pill, bro. That is a magic
Yeah.
pill.
So we have to go back to that.
That is it.
Yani
Yeah.
hiyo kitu ya IBC unajua inaingia ndani ya damu to the point where you're like, okay, can we stop all presses and sue these kinyagarikas for everything so that they stop everything else they're doing and bring IBC?
Yes.
I don't know if you guys noticed or heard or saw this, that there was I think a funeral for somebody somewhere in Nakuru where Susan Kihika was coming out to give a speech, delivering a speech from the president. Hey, the booze,
Hakuna.
bro. The
That one,
booze.
that one will not go back. We are not joining. She's one.
When I say when you say booze,
governor.
Yeah.
everyone, even Sudi was there. Sudi
Where?
was there, but the engineer, the fake engineer, but anyone at Ruto, boo, pana, like, wait, tafadhali kwa heshima, wacha tusome his speech, tupatie familia rambirambi, alafu tupatie speech tuendelee. No, boo. And this is in Nakuru.
I also saw another video. I'm not sure if it was the Kenyan ambassador to Germany in Berlin.
That one.
That
I
was
saw that
being
one.
booed.
That one. It was being booed.
That was being booed.
Yes.
And another interesting piece of information.
Ruto must go. That's what they were saying.
It was Ruto must go. Another interesting piece of information that people in America, most people in America don't know, is that your ambassador is here. David Kerich, he came silently. And he's here.
Wait.
He's a
He
si-
is?
Yes. You
I
didn't
did not
know?
No, I did not know.
Boss.
No, he's
He's
here.
a silent assassin. He's
You,
been around.
you
No, he's
mother
here.
suckers, you didn't share with
Our
us.
sleuths have
Boss,
already.
yeah, but
our-
he's
The
there.
guy is here.
he even
He's-
met.
he's been.
He even paid a courtesy call to the ambassador of Haiti
Kuna picha.
to discuss. Yes,
Iko picha. Iko picha.
No, the kuna picture
Yes.
on the Kenyan embassy Twitter page. They know nobody goes there. They know no one goes there.
Go there.
Wagadez.
Go there.
Atiatia.
Yes,
Yeah.
he already paid a courtesy call to Mse wa Haiti.
Yeah, to discuss how great
How great
Because,
the police
see, the
have
police are doing
how
in
the
Haiti,
police
in
are
quotes.
how the
See,
great
the prime minister or whatever is
in Kenya.
I mean, is in Kenya.
Yeah, he's in Kenya.
Because I had that.
that
yeah,
got
the,
stuck.
The prime minister is in
No,
Kenya.
that one retired. That one
Or-
resigned. There's another
That
one.
is-
There's a
there's
new
a
one.
new one.
There's a new one, bro.
Yes.
Yeah.
Haya.
He's in
Ati
Kenya.
anaitwa nani?
David Kerich.
Anaweza kuja hapa kwa show, kwa studio.
I doubt it.
Vile
tumeinject.
You guys, I don't think. Right now, I think we're por persona non grata.
We're persona non grata.
Honestly, we will go through the process. Email,
We'll try. We'll give them.
But chances of him
But we
coming
couldn't
here.
even get Omoshe's cousin here. So, sawa,
Yeah, I
tutajaribu
know.
tu.
No, boss, but you know when you're playing, what is it called? When you're playing the game the way the game is played.
You're double dipping.
Kuna vile you have to chill. Well, ukona hata even when Ruto showed up, when Zakayo was over here for Nini. For who was the person running around with him?
But even
Si
before,
wewe.
Apana, it was him who was the
but even before Ruto became president, even before Ruto became
When
president,
Omosh go to the
no,
even
boss.
before Ruto became president, hakukam.
No, but remember that guy. It was a hard call. It was a hard call. I can tell you for free. It was a
Yeah.
hard call.
Even
It was a hard
during
call.
during
Those-
Uhunye's
you know,
time, because
those chaps,
anyway.
but it's not like they are authorized. That's the other thing. And Ali knows the inside track of the embassy.
But we'll still inject.
We were lucky when we
get-
got the person who we got.
Jin Kamau.
I don't
Kamau,
think,
Shash Dafer.
all honestly,
that
I
will
don't
never
think
happen again.
we will get.
Kwanza the
again.
way we inject nowadays.
Granted, we got Big Ted, but Big Ted ni kama, I think in a way they were
No,
like,
but Big Ted,
I
no,
think,
no, no, no,
I
no,
think
no.
in a way they were kind of like just let this guy do what he's doing. And Big Ted played the game good, right? But I
No, he
don't
did,
know.
because
I don't know. I
But they
just
still
don't
let
see-
him go.
But you
I-
see, the thing is, but you see also.
They still let him go.
But remember, our idea is to.
It's politics. It's not personal.
Omosh. I think
Maybe
the issue-
Chiloba will come.
Oh, by the way, Chiloba is in LA.
Yeah, maybe Chiloba will come.
Yeah, hata nilikuwa nimesahau. There's
Maybe
too
Chiloba
much
will
is
come.
going on.
Maybe Chiloba. I'm just saying. Maybe Chiloba will come and continue
Yes,
the good work that Big Ted was doing.
Let
Here's
me
the thing.
read some comments here.
Yes,
No,
yes,
Mike.
no, go ahead,
Yeah,
go ahead.
let me read some comments. We've neglected the comments for a bit here.
What?
And that's brought to you by who?
It's brought to you by Lemfi. So the One Mike Show is offering $30 to the to anyone who sends $100 on their first transaction using the code that we have pinned on Facebook and on YouTube. So just click on that link, download the app, sign in, send $100 and you get your money. Even if you're not ready to download right now, And even if you're not ready to send the money right now, just
download.
and
Serio.
sign in. Yes.
And for this one, you don't need a 2/3 gender rule for you to download.
No, you don't. No, you just download.
Bas.
No 2/3 gender rule needed.
Bas.
So hapa Washeke alikuwa anasema sisi wapenzi watazamaji tutasusia juu ya hiyo 2/3 gender rule. And then Slayer was still saying dead capital, I think, in reference to the conversation we're having. And then Gerald says even Farmer's Choice sausages, prime pork and beef isn't consumed in Kenya. And then
prime ndio gani? Because
sasa hapo Gerald atueleze
zile prime ndio gani juu zile si waga tunaonaga
those ones they taste prime to me.
Wewe ushaona hiyo Farmer's Choice prime?
I don't know, but me whatever I get
ama hiyo waganaenda nini juu hizo wewe una get ni zile si waga tunabai tukikuja nazo tunaingisha ndani ya
they taste prime
kadhutkes.
Yeah, they taste prime. Alafu hapo Washeke anasema I think he means prime products are exported and Kenyans are left to consume subpar.
Correct. I think yes.
And then just like how in the US where 4 grocery chains control 70% of the market. That is interesting.
Yes.
That is interesting.
And and one of the Ninis is a German company.
Which one is
German?
it? Ahold?
Ahold, yeah.
Ahold used to own. They used to own. Ahold is Dutch. They used to own Giant.
Yes.
I don't know if they're still the ones who own it.
I think they're still the same guys. I'll check, but I think they're the same guys.
Hey, Giant. My first job in the US. Hey, I was so perfect. Paper or plastic. Very perfect at that job.
Imagine now there's no plastic.
$6.60. My first salary per hour.
You are making a lot of money. I don't want to tell you what I used to make when I first started.
No. We don't even want to know.
$3.25.
Yeah, those were slave wages.
Lakini leo siku zoni umoshi nyumba ilikuwa $30.
There you go.
Actually, interesting fact. Nissan Sentra, Honda Civic, and Toyota Tercel were all under $10,000. Brand new.
Wow. Kwa hivyo inamaanisha used you could get one at 2K.
Nissan, yes. And Nissan Altima.
2K was a very good car.
Nissan Altima, brand new when it came out, was $13,000.
Ali mimi nikikuja, when I came to America, 3,000 will get you a very good car.
No, that's true. Mambo imechange. Aya, na hapa Tabitha anasema, this episode is so eye-opening. And then Kenyanjio anasema, wag the dog. I don't know what exactly that's in reference to.
Dog whistle.
Oh yeah, and then Gerald Oliech are talking about IEBC. Yeah, everybody's crying about IEBC. And then Gerald is saying we are always played by IEBC, but we still go back to them. Kind of how do we go back to politicians that played us? We are plagued. Now IEBC is a ref, so I don't know. Gerald, maybe give us an idea of how we can play a soccer match without a ref, because like we have to have a ref. And then Doreen Florence is asking, so I get $30 for just downloading. Now, you get the $30, download, sign in. And then, when you send your and this has to be on the first transaction, Doreen. The first transaction, send $100, you will get the $30.
Jitumia that $100.
Yeah, send it to yourself.
Send to your M-Pesa.
Ama if you have that cousin who's been bothering you, nanini, this is your chance.
Your future baby ex. Whatever.
Yeah, ama if you have family, so please download it and share it, Doreen.
Tumia madhe.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So Ahold is a global food retailer that operates retail food stores in the United States. Food Lion, Stop and Shop, Peapod. Wow. And you see the interesting thing in America.
Stop and Shop is Giant. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Stop and Shop is Giant. It's interesting because I was working for them when that takeover was happening between with Stop and Shop. But it's exactly the same thing. And the thing in America is that these big conglomerates, they will give an impression that, there's competition. There's all these different businesses when all the money is going to the same pot, which is very problematic here in the US. And I think the likes of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, senators, they've been trying to cut down those monopolies, but then like that consolidation, it happened so much in the airline industry. There used to be so many airlines, then all of them just started collapsing.
Correct.
And now you have some airlines that have monopolies on certain routes. Like if you want a direct flight like to LA, I think it's only United that you can do that
Even
with.
go to Dallas, you have American or Southwest.
Yeah, there's some
you're going
if
to
you wanna use
Washington,
Southwest,
you
sometimes
have Alaska.
you have to connect.
Yes.
You have to connect. So on certain routes, there's a lot of dictatorship going on where you have only one airline on certain routes. And then hapa Washeke anasema we are in a toxic relationship with Kenyan politicians. And, and then Gerald
Only Washeke would be able to say that.
Gerald says, allow me summarize about IBC in a nutshell. The fact that they are appointed by our politicians,
Yes.
if we'll never be an independent electoral body and will never be neutral and balanced. So I think that's a problem. And I think right now, because the body that was constituted was appointed by the two coalitions, and now the two coalitions are now broad-based. They're all now one big coalition.
Excuse me.
The two coalitions are now one coalition.
It's
which
fraud
means there is
based.
no coalition.
Bread-based.
Yeah,
Bread-based.
they're now bread-based. So that's still problematic.
Sisi nje.
But we just have to be very watchful at what's happening.
And
We
just
have to-
just consume and understand and read and be curious. And that's why when I was
And we need
looking
to
at-
also agitate.
Agitate. And guess
to
what? When you look-
talk,
when you look
share
at-
this information.
when you
and-
look when
yeah.
you look at like what Gen Z did and whatever, we're in a position where when you are even a governor going to a place, you're going for a funeral or whatever, and you are being called out, you are being checked, you are being, like even people are not happy. The citizenry, not
Yes.
forget about us. The citizenry
yes.
locally is not happy.
It's
This part, and I think this is the difference now than a few years back, where it was just the word or whatever. And I think, for me, when Morara Kibaso started doing those videos where he's showing people this is where your money is going,
yeah.
it
the
hits
eye-opening.
different.
It touched a raw
Eye-opening.
nerve.
It does,
Very, very
because you're like,
eye-opening.
Touched a raw nerve.
Very eye-opening.
because it's going to be like, yo, Ali, you live over here in this place, you pay taxes. You had said this is what was done, Come, I show you.
Yeah.
This is what you guys have paid for.
This is the study ambayo mnajengewa. Come, I show you. This is the 400 million was paid, and guess who the money went to?
Because
it went to Moses Kuria.
Moses Kuria.
He went to Moses
The
Kuria,
same
yeah.
guy.
Because he also got money in one of
Yes,
the stadiums,
yeah.
but money was paid, but nothing. Bado ni shamba.
Yeah.
Nothing has
And
been
now
built.
he's an advisor to the president.
He's not an advisor to the president.
He's an advisor.
Yeah.
And he's not talking about CG ETR and anyway, that's another story about M-Pesa and pay bills and how they're going to be considered CG tax receipts or whatever. That is something that you'll have to educate us on. But again, I think right now there's an awakening that people are saying, you know what, enough is enough. And the more people become educated, the more people become aware, the more people awaken. And again, people like again Justice Mugambi are the ones who are breathing life. They are saying, you know what? Let
Because
the
right
high-
now the
let
judiciary-
let the highest court in the land.
That's the last
dictate.
fort that we
Yes.
have. Because we lost the executive,
We did.
we lost the legislature.
We did.
Now we only have the judiciary. If the judiciary falls,
It's a
guess
wrap.
what? It's a wrap.
So right now-
we are finished.
It's a wrap. We are
so,
done.
So right now, for me, I think Mugambi is that guy who's like, is that line. Wacha hii iende huko. Let this be decided.
Yes.
huko mbele.
And an interesting comment here coming from Washeke. Washeke says that's why the Justice Department is opposing the merger of Kroger and Albertsons. Fewer stores equals less competition and higher
Correct.
prices.
Yes.
Of course.
This is quite interesting
It's
because
inflation.
remember, Walmart also got into the business of groceries. Both Walmart and Target. They've now been in that business for a very long time. It was very interesting when I went to South Carolina, Myrtle Beach. I noticed something called neighborhood Walmart, and I was like, Allah, what exactly is this? So neighborhood Walmart ni sasa it's like a grocery store. Now they're trying to compete now with actual.
Are you serious?
Yes.
So Ali, those neighborhood Walmarts
Yeah.
were in Virginia. They were closed, but then goes the Walmarts themselves turned into grocery stores. They took out the neighborhoods.
Also, they took out the
Then-
neighborhoods. Yeah.
Yes, but then Walmart itself, it's fully stocked. It has a full grocery section.
It's everything. Yeah.
Plus, it's Walmart itself.
Yeah, it's full grocery now, and Target too. So now you see like those people who used to sell fruits on the roadside up America. Nowadays it's a novelty. Like you'll get excited
Yeah.
when you see those people
Yeah,
selling
they're
fruits.
there.
The same
They're
thing-
there.
it's something in
Summertime
Kenya now.
watermelons,
Yeah,
you know.
easy
Yeah.
orchards na nini because
Yeah.
now there's a monopoly.
Or they come to farmers markets.
Yeah, there's a monopoly of these big stores that sell these products, and now the people who are buying them are fewer, so they can dictate exactly what they want and how they want. Want to remind the listeners that you tuned into the One Mic Show, and of course I'm here with my co-hosts Uno Mike, Omosh, and Mika. We're of course talking about DP Gachagua, and we got into talking about some of the things that were being ignored while this impeachment drama was going on.
The ones that we're closing our eyes on.
Yes, the abductions of citizens. We're talking about bills being sneaked into parliament, like the horticultural bill, and now food colonialism coming back, Adani, and so many other things. Now, did you know that there's also another sneaky bill where parliament wants to extend term limits for both the president and other elected officials from 5 to 7 years.
Yes.
And of course, our lines are open, but I'm not going to ask you to call now
No,
because time do you imeenda. But tonight, the show is brought to you by Lemfi. The One Mic Show is offering $30 for the first $100 sent. So Doreen, please, tutachek kama ume download, log in. If you're not ready to send the 100 now, at some point, we know you're sending money to Kenya. At some point, you will send money
Or
to
send
Kenya.
it to yourself first then.
Yeah. Or if you're looking for someone to send, I can give you my M-Pesa number. And you send it there, and you see if it works.
That also works.
Yes. So download, log in. The link is on Facebook and on YouTube. Go straight. The code is OneMic, ONEMIC. So now, as we wrap up here, is there a game plan that we don't know about? Because remember, back it was just when Ruto's administration was fresh. There was some no-name member of parliament from Northeastern who
I remember that guy.
who was talking about a bill to increase term limits, I think from 2 to 3. Now this one is more immediate.
By Cherargei.
By Cherargei. Yeah, senator of whatever county it is, one of those counties.
One of those counties.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now they want something immediate because I think they're looking at 2027 and they're seeing where mambo imechemuka.
The math is not mathing.
The math is no longer mathing.
Right.
So now I think they want to cover all their bases.
You know, somebody, we were talking, and prior to this, was always mentioning one mic, acha nikwambie kitu. Kegwele kidu. Oyo modo. This guy is gonna be like Moi. He's gonna reverse the constitution atajiongezea masaa. This was even before. So in other words, it's like, wacha nikwambie kitu, umse atajiongeza atajaribu to edit the constitution ajiongeze masaa. And this was even before the elections. Because he was telling me, listen, if this guy becomes president, you watch, atajaribu. Maze, and sure enough, after the guy is elected president, what happens? That guy you're talking about, that guy from South, whatever.
Yeah, he was going for 10, right?
And then he's like, uyo anajaribu kutest the waters. Because it went...
Then it wasn't. Yeah.
Now
it's come with a force.
Ndio Cherargei
Yes.
to 7. And guess what? To sit in the pot, it has been extended to even say the MCAs.
Everybody else.
And
Yeah,
governor?
see, yeah,
Yes.
we had to try.
And whatever.
Yes, we had to try over there to see if it was going to work.
sit in the pot.
Since
Yes.
it didn't work and it was that one was solo, now we all go as one.
All these bad bills, there's always a sweetener to encourage, like the people who are already in
Dangling.
office, 'cause
They dangle.
to dangle it at them.
Apa tu.
They always do that, and that's what they did on the finance bill, and that's what they're doing on this bill right now. And knowing that our lawmakers are not for the people, I mean, unless
They're not for the people.
But Ali, surely, mtu anakwambia unaongezewa 2 more years without you having to do anything, na bado utakula ako ka 1 meter every month plus benefits.
I know, but now
Will you vote against it? Like how it's like it's like the fox voting for more hens.
no the
in the farm.
the saving grace. The one saving grace is that even if you get 2/3, because it requires 2/3 in both houses,
Okay.
even if you get 2/3 in both houses, it still has to go through a referendum. That's the only saving grace. But now you see,
But with the way, okay, so now here's a part where I would ask, simply put, just the same way we went through public participation. This referendum, how do we know that that the information that is being passed across as being the sentiment via people at the referendum is actually what people were saying?
no, referendum is a notch high of public participation. Referendum is just next to elections. So there's a quantifiable result in a referendum. A referendum is an election.
No, but again, where I'm going to with this is that, yes, it's an election, blah, 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 but we have seen those results being skewed. So if I want to change it to be towards what I want, and remember, we are the ones who are pulling in IBC, which means IBC would be running a referendum.
So now remember what Morara said. What makes rigging easy, and even when you look at all rigged elections in Kenya, besides the one that of course Moi was rigging, it's known that Moi was rigging.
Moise was easy, mlolongo mukaya hapa.
But all the rigged elections
Yes.
had one thing in common: the results were close. So
Got
the only one election where the results were not close was when Kibaki came into power the first time,
Yeah.
and he won
Yes.
close to 60% of the vote.
Agreed.
But whenever result is equally area 52, 48%, 49, 51%,
Kuna vile.
yeah,
I think
there will always be problems.
Which means
So
as,
now,
as
that's
people
why
need
as
to be
people,
on
if
top
we- if
of
we-
the game.
if we vote overwhelmingly, then it becomes impossible to rig.
I think hapa tuko, I don't know what we are at an interesting point
Precipice.
right now as we speak.
Yes. Hakuna kulala.
From June 25th,
Yeah.
Tuko finali, ukifungwa unaishia. Tuko knockout stage.
June 25th
Yeah.
ndio kulikuwa na vindu vichenjanga.
Even before June 25th.
Yeah, but
June 25th is when they went to parliament.
But yeah. So prior to that, so the beginning of the Gen Z, like that was the you're like, this thing cannot be sustained.
Punda ilichoka.
And it's one of those, because me, the lens I'm seeing it from is Gen Z uprising, and looking at it from that lens and from that perspective or from that angle, I'm like, and I'm telling a lot of people, I think for me the hope, brighter, however you want to look at it, was when Gen Z walituchapa nyahunyo. As guys, we were done. Remember that young lady who told Baba, weka chini,
Kaa
we
kando,
relax,
yeah.
weka
Correct.
kando.
Correct.
We got this.
Yes.
And Baba is like, you know what? I'm proud. Ingawa alitufanya ghafla bin hu. But that point, and you could see, and then when you look at the trajectory of events, Homeboy he decides to do what? Dissolves cabinet. Rejects the finance. He pushes it back. It's not until when Baba decides to handshake that now you start thinking. But even with that, you can still see that there's the things. I said it's not at the ametuchapa checkmate. It's check. Like Ali, you said, ni ile uko na A,
Yeah.
unaangusha
Yeah.
ya kuzima.
Mm-hmm.
Uko na joker, alafu umeangusha, lakini ujui what everyone is playing.
Now we don't know how many jokers.
We don't
he has.
know. We don't know.
Yeah.
But I think the jokers
Joka suwaga mbili.
No, joker
pack.
inategemea na pack. Yeah.
Joko
So Joko
wakambili
akona
kwa
mbili,
pack.
there are some
lakini
rigged packs.
you don't know if he
Correct.
has got
That's
2
true, yes.
3s and whatever.
you're
Yeah,
right.
there's
They're-
some
they're
But
rigged
rigged
Joker
packs,
unaweza kuwa na AA, you can have up to 4 A's
Yes.
and up to 2 Jokers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even with that, you're like, and then like how people are reacting, even after, like now with the like the bombers, the people's the participation,
Public
participation.
Yeah.
Morara injecting thoroughly,
Proper.
even with like, okay, you can see that is this, but of course he's 28. At some of us at 28 tulikuwa tunafanya nini? Tulikuwa tunachapa kadunda, tulikuwa tunafanya dunda, tulikuwa tunachapa Vegas, we are driving from Bolt from whatever.
One mic you uncouth.
So exactly at 28, but this guy, what is he doing?
People were rogue.
He's taking on
Yeah.
a rogue administration at 28.
Come think of it, at 28.
What were you doing at 28, bro?
Ali, did you even want to know?
This is a guy who
At
already
28.
has formed a party.
No, maybe at 28, I was already interested in politics, but I never in my mind was I thinking of I will go and take over and go against the president.
Not even that. In this time, and where guys are being abducted live and direct, guys are being shot live and direct, people are being, whatever you want to call it, live and direct. Guys are having the gall to wake up, to go. Guys are going. Morara is going out and showing factually your money. This was the money that was set aside. This was the project. And here's the project. You tell us what is going on. Those are the things that just make me say, you know what? Bob Njagi, 32 days.
Yeah.
32.
That's
Yeah,
a
I
long
know.
time. Solitary.
And while he
confinement.
was in there, amepata kasichana in Kenya.
This is, yeah.
Sasa wewe ukiwapa ukiwa +1, what is your excuse? And I leave it at that.
General Olech anasema mimi 28 years tulikuwa JKs na crooked Qs. You know,
Pale Avenue.
that is
Omosh,
that
changes.
that is why we have to give
Resoras. Oh, sorry.
At 28.
yeah?
Oh,
me.
sorry. Oh, this guy.
Me at 28, boss.
Hey,
you already
you-
here ngangana. Oh, sorry.
She was running the streets of Jersey.
No. At 28, I had moved here.
you already moved. You already
Sasa
moved
you
to
are running.
DMV.
Ulikuwa shafika Maryland.
I was already in Maryland. I only lived in Jersey
was-
for
So
3
so
years.
was
It was during
H2O already there.
No.
H2O
Wait,
ama hiyo
excuse me.
bado.
It was during Jimmy Carter's time.
Oh, it was during Jimmy Carter's time.
sorry.
Okay.
That time we used to hang at a club that was close to the FBI building.
Okay. Aya.
Moshi hizo siku zilikuwa siku za DC Bullets.
Yes. Washington Bullets, yes.
Washington Bullets. Yeah.
The
And,
80s.
when the
and
Wizards were called
And,
Bullets.
my
and Nani
case.
was playing for us.
Jordan.
Manute Ball.
That's the
Okay.
80s.
Okay.
I rest my case.
Okay. Mi nilikuwa nasema Michael Jordan. Kumbe yeye yuko era ya Manute Ball because Michael Jordan's era was in the 2000s.
Yes.
It was in the
So-
2000s. Yeah. Who
I
yuko
mean,
Manute Ball?
I'm saying it's different, man.
What about Chris Webber? Did Chris Webber ever play for
Chris
the
Webber played
Bullets?
Yeah, he did.
played.
Ah,
played
played
for
okay.
the-
Yeah,
for
Chris.
the
He was pulled over
Wizards.
on the beltway, and he had secret compartment in his moti with guns.
Okay.
Gerald Olich
And
is
it
over
was
here.
right after that they shipped him out of here.
Or that's when he went to
They shipped him out on the next thing.
he went to
smoking.
Sacramento.
Sacramento Kings.
Sacramento Kings, yeah.
Because Nani didn't want to have Poland was not having that crap.
Okay, but then he got Gilbert Arenas, and Gilbert Arenas got back that crap. But anyway, that's a story for another. We'll come back to sports. Right now, the mood in
And
Kenya.
Rod Strickland
is
and his hot
injecting.
dogs.
Yeah?
Where
Before a game.
We are focused.
Sorry.
Yeah. Nasema right now the mood in Kenya is injection. Tutarudi sports, topics
it's-
and entertainment.
Yeah, it's sad,
don't
man.
worry. I know people are like, oh, mekuwa mkiongea siasa. Right now,
We have to.
Right now,
if we don't do this,
if we try to do
and we go a different direction, you won't have a home to go back to. How about that?
Yeah.
When you're sitting over here talking about you want to be a bunny, you will be some banning where you is.
Exactly.
And if the weather ain't working, you try and go to Florida in the middle of a storm.
And right now, there's so many other topics that we had in line. Imagine there's American elections going on.
Atujaguza.
We've not touched
We've not
it.
even asked you if
We're
you
not
have
even
registered.
snoozing,
We've not even asked
Yeah.
you what parties do you need, who are your candidates and why any. And it's a presidential election, by the way.
It's a presidential election. It's not a midterm election.
Yes.
So, yeah, and right now, with Kenyans, there's nothing else they listen to. US elections, they'll go to CNN. Watasikiza huko. But now on Kenyan issues, people come here because of certain pertinent issues they want us to talk about. Na hapa Gerald Oliech anasema our politicians are so hypocritical and we are being blinded now. Mbadi is going to increase and create taxes. So since he is from ODM, it will be okay. And then Kenyanjui, I don't know whether you may download your app, your Lemfi. Click your link, download it. Just download it, sign up, and then whenever you're ready, send the $100 for you to get the $30. And then up here, Werimu was keeping us busy kidogo on YouTube. She was saying even Jericho and Jerusalem were built by Israelis.
Yes.
That's quite interesting too, because I remember it had those flat rooftops. I never knew, I never understood the meaning. Unomai kwa henga wanasemaje?
Wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia.
Meli inadu nini nanga?
Imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up. Mika, chikadhe.
Hey, anyway, it's been another wonderful Friday. Man, the cold is here. Early voting is on set on us, people.
Oh, for
vote.
Okay, gotcha, yeah.
Vote. Start voting. As in, if you know you can go vote on Voters Day, that's good. But if you can do early voting, mail-in voting, start voting in right now. You know how important this election is. It's really, really important to not just your current lifestyle, but to your future lifestyle and to your future generations if you're here. So go ahead and vote. And me ndakwambia vote Kamala. Vote for that other guy.
Kamala?
Even if you're a Republican, vote Kamala, then go back to Republican roots after the elections. When you guys have a serious, decent candidate or a meaningful candidate, then you can vote Republican.
Oh, so you EC 6-piece, unavote uko juu alafu zile zingine unaenda.
No, 6-piece. No, what I'm Omosh, kenye nasema ni.
Yes.
Ama pia si lazima ikuwe 6-piece. All I'm saying is that I'm asking Republicans.
Yes.
Presidential, please. You can abstain your guy, and then you can go back to voting to Republicans in the next elections when you have a decent person on the ballot. It's around that time we're getting to the holidays, and it's about that time that we work. It's around that time whereby families is one of the most important things. But I also wanted to just say that I extend my condolences to the family, to the Dallas family. The Dallas family lost one of their close person. I don't know if you guys know. There's a guy called Tiki Ndagua, passed away after a battle with cancer. So I want to send my condolences. There is a GoFundMe that is going on around for Tiki. You can contribute to that to help take his body home. He was a very jovial, happy, good, friendly person, not only just among the Dallas community, but among other people. So to the Dallas community, sorry for your loss. And for the rest of you, I just want to tell you that the holy time, the crazy time, is that time whereby hug your family a little bit tighter. Tell your friends you love them. Be close to your people. And as we prepare to celebrate these holidays in the way that we're going to celebrate them, let's extend grace and love to each other. What you did.
All right.
That guy, he hit You know, I thought he was even gonna tell me he loved me, but lakini ni sawa. To my fans, our peoples, asanteni. Thank you for standing by us, sitting with us, listening to us, enjoying with us, laughing with us, getting angry with us, crying with us, as we continue to meander the roads that is this show that we bring to you guys every Friday, and you can go back and replay it. Kumbukeni, this is brought to you by Lemfi. Just make sure you go, if you have not downloaded it, it's a money sending app, and it can really help you in sending your money home, and the rates are actually pretty decent. So just use the links that we have on YouTube as well as Facebook. Na pia kuna vile unaweza kula kazawadi, but at the minimum, as a fan of our show, just go and download. As well, if this is your first time on the show, karibu, like, subscribe, and continue being a part of this community that we have forged for so many years. Thank you again for supporting us. And next week, we will be back with more to chambua. And I think early next week, we'll be dealing with probably the elections. Or
it depends. It depends on what happens next week.
Yes, because
we might have another explosive week in Kenya.
You know what? You're actually right. But elections are around the corner, and it is our civic duty to exercise our right to vote. Go ahead and vote. Us will tell you to vote Democrat, but go ahead and vote.
Vote Democrat.
Vote. Yes, and remember, politics is local.
Kabisa.
Just remember that. The politics is local. It is a presidential election. So this is a big deal.
Project 2025 summary next week. Sorry.
This is a big deal.
Annette,
so I don't know if we can say it enough and beat it with a nail and a hammer and keep beating it. But we will continue telling you guys, vote, make your vote count. If you're in a state that you live in and you've not registered, make sure you register to vote. In some states, you can even register on the day of. Just check your local jurisdiction to find out what it is that you're capable to do. And for those who are voting for the first time of the presidential elections, congratulations. Welcome to the club. Vote. See you next week, and hug your loved ones. I will see you.
All right. Asante sana, Uno Mike. And also asante sana to our sponsors, Lemfi. Thank you so much for those who downloaded. I think Gerald Nimono may download. Doreen, we are still waiting for you to download. We cannot let $30 go away. A whole $30.
Imagine
what does $30 do for you again in Kenya? Mosh ilikuwa
mtungia gas.
Yeah, a whole
in addition to
yeah.
You get
unaweza kibandaski.
Yeah.
Mtungia, you know, I'm trying to use something that somebody can touch, know, and feel.
And by the way, mtungia gas, but change itabaki, bro.
Yeah.
You need 2,500 shillings.
Well, it depends on mtungi gani unayo, but you're right.
Yeah.
It depends on mtungi gani unayo.
$30.
Yes.
All you need to do.
Yeah, ukuwe na kale ka yemoro, and then ukuwe na kale ka kubwa pia.
Ile kubwa?
Yes.
Yeah.
But ile kubwa
So all you need to do is click on that link that's pinned on Facebook or on YouTube, download, sign up, and then when you have a chance, send the $100. So you'll be able to get that $30. And of course, I also want to thank everybody who was tuned in. I know Friday is not an easy day to just sit around and listen to a bunch of guys talking to each other. And of course, that two-thirds gender rule, we've always had it on our mind. Sisi, we are at a quarter. We are not even at two-thirds, a quarter gender rule. So now, those of you who know, like one of our people who was helping us meet the gender quota, but she's now a bit busy, Ruth, inbox her. Tell her, mambo imechemuka, and she needs to come to studio.
Imechemka, by the way, Omosh,
to discuss. Yeah.
Yes.
Mambo imechemka, tell her she needs to come to the studio to discuss some of these things, at least to somewhere closer to your two-thirds gender rule. So, asanteni sana. Register For those who are not registered yet, register to vote. Not only in the US elections is coming. Check your jurisdiction, make sure you're registered, and make sure you vote. Those who have early votes. On the Kenyan side, be prepared. Have your ID ready. Have your passport ready. When I know there's issues with IBC and with transparency and everything, but be ready. Let's have no excuses this time, because up at diaspora, we are gonna register everyone plus their grandmothers if they're here, plus their sons, any child, if you have any child who was born after, let me say, 2009, that means they'll be 18 by the time election is coming in 2027. Please be prepared to register. Even if they're not into Kenyan issues, you go register them. Yeah, you're their representative on Kenyan issues.
Yes.
With the way things are going in America, you never know. You might need to carry your small bag and head back to Kenya, because we are very lucky that we have that option. There are some people who are living in this America, they have no option of good. There's no home they can go back to. They come from places where there's war. There's so many other things going on. We're very fortunate, and that's the reason why we are fighting for our Kenya. Na kwa hayo machache, yeyote ambaye anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile ile 1-800 mteule. Operator akishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu, na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, mkumbushe ni mjukuu yule yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Big shout out to Stephen Otivo Okoth. Aiden, Daddy loves you. Njeri, Daddy loves you. Nemo, Daddy loves you. Until next week, be blessed.
Mambo imechemuka. Natero kuchamuka. Hello. Mambo imechemuka. Natero kutamuka. Hello. Mambo imechemuka. Nimechemuka. Mambo imechemuka. Imechemuka. Mambo imechemuka. Imechemuka. Hello. Mambo imechemuka. Hello. Mambo imechemuka. Nimechemuka. Mambo imechemuka. Imechemuka. Mambo imechemuka. Imechemuka. Mapenzi ninakula saa hizi. Mapenzi yalifanya niwe chizi. Mapenzi yalifanya niwe mwizi. Sasa right now niko easy. Nimezima.